myself or suffer the consequences. The wisdom of Elijah's inside of the conscientious, so I move with it.
And don't make the mistake that most of your mothers and fathers made. When I wake up in the morning, my prayers, and I thank God I woke up, the Ku Klux Klan woke up this morning. The drug pushers woke up this morning. I thank God that I made another 24 hours in the most vicious, nasty, hateful, insane nation that's ever existed, with my wits, without hating, without being bitter, without being mean. And I thank God that I survived 24 hours in that type of atmosphere with the type of amusement and friendliness. And so I would say to young folks, don't be in a state of denial of the racism and sexism, but don't let that block you. Don't teach your children that you have to be twice as good as a white. That's an awful thing to teach a child. That's like saying because you're black, white America has a right to change your dollar for 94 cents. But we used to get 50 cents, and before that we used to get nothing. Young folks have to say, we don't want more change for a dollar. Excuse me, we want a full dollar's change for a dollar, or this cash register will never ring again.
Yes.
I would also like for young blacks to understand that about 83% of all employment happen with small businesses. And excuse me, if you don't have a small business, then you have nobody to work for you. And I would say to young blacks, get into entrepreneurship. We will never catch up with white America till we get into business, because there's a thing called tax write-offs. And if you have a job and come together, 10 of you, and open up a corporation and have somebody run it, you hiring somebody to run it, but you have tax write-offs. 98% of people that fly first class on airplanes would not be there if that wasn't a write-off. And yet, on that first class, they gave away last year $800 million, almost $1 billion of free whiskey. But if a welfare mother asked for some apple juice for the baby, she's laughed at. And so I would say entrepreneurship, and then understand that we will never survive as a group until we get into communities and not neighborhoods. A community is, I control the police, the banks, the schools, the firefighters, and I control the flow of the money. And I have no problem when I go in a Jewish neighborhood and the shop owners are Jewish, and I go into an Italian neighborhood and shop owners are Italian. I have a problem when I come in a black neighborhood and the shop owners is not me. A Korean has a right to come in and buy my shop for $30 million more than it's worth. That's good business. But if we decide that we're not going to do business with that one, then he'll have to sell it back, or she'll sell it back to a black person for $1 million.
Yes.
And then the money circulates, and that's how you change. We've been so busy dealing with the hurt and the pain and the misery and glamorizing a hand few that have made it, that we have never really looked at, like they say, your role model. If you haven't got a role model in your house, you should fall on your knees and pray to God, because something is wrong.
Yes.
And so I would say to young folks, it's not about alcohol, but it's hard for me to say that to you when a 5-year-old got to reach past mama's beer and papa's wine to get some mayonnaise. I would also say to young folks that the number one drug that will wipe you out is not cocaine, it's not heroin, it's marijuana. And they deliberately make that a recreation drug, but it stays in the muscles, it stays in the blood, and it will wipe out your memory bank. And also, this is the first time in the history of TB that TB has always been known as poor folks. it's the first time that TV is not running rampant in the ghetto. It's running rampant in middle income white America because it's the marijuana that they spray, and that's no accident. And so I would just say to young folks, you have to reevaluate everything you've been taught. I would say to the black folks that just because a black person is 90 years old don't mean they have wisdom, and you need to listen to them, because if you was dumb and stupid when you was 9, you dumb and stupid when you 90.
Mm,
It don't
I
make no
love
sense.
him.
mm, mm. Baba always dropping
Mhm.
that game, ain't he?
Right? I love him.
Baba Dick Gregory for oh, I
Mhm.
closed the wrong tab. Okay, it's okay. I'll get that back up in a minute. I'll get that one back up in a minute. What's going on, family? What's going on?
What it
Welcome.
do?
Welcome to another episode of Sincere Love the Godcast. This is the Black Business Showcase. I am the God Sincere Love, here with my lovely co-host, Nicety Girl, the Cali Country Girl in the building. What's going on? How you doing,
What's
Queen?
up? What's up, everybody? Hey, Mama Love, I see you over there.
What's going on, Mama Love in the building? Shout out to everybody joining us early in the chat. Man, I feel like it's been a long time.
I know, doesn't it?
I
One,
feel like
2 days feels like a lifetime.
for real, for real, for real. We didn't broadcast Sunday, and then we didn't broadcast yesterday, but it felt like a month done went by or
It
something.
does. It does. I missed everybody.
Yes, indeed. Glad to be back. Both of y'all said coffee. We was backstage. Both of y'all said coffee. Y'all done triggered my addiction. I had to go get me a cup. Had to go get me a cup. But yeah, as always, we got another good show for y'all tonight on the Black Business Showcase.
Yes.
A special guest for the evening is a brother, Marcus Muhammad. And Marcus Muhammad is an entrepreneur, author, and inspirational speaker. Marcus was born in July of 1993 in Washington, D.C., and was diagnosed with HIV positive at birth. He is a husband and a father of 2. Marcus strongly believes that Allah has him on a journey of being healed of HIV. As a student and follower of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, Marcus sees himself using the teachings to heal, inspire, and elevate many across the globe. One of his missions in life is to share his story as a testimony of the love of God, God's miraculous healing powers, and the power of faith in overcoming adversity. And here to share that story with us tonight is our brother, your brother, Mr. Marcus Muhammad. Welcome to the show. King, how you doing?
We're doing well, King. We're doing well, King and Queen. Thank you so much for blessing me to be on your platform tonight.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Thank you for coming.
Yes,
Thank you for
ma'am.
taking
Yes.
And
the
yes,
time.
everybody, he's 12. He's a 12-year-old entrepreneur. I'm just kidding.
I'm 12 years old. That is correct.
Right. Right.
I'm 4 for my age.
Married with 2 kids.
Right.
Yes,
Crown
ma'am.
808. What's going on, sis?
Hey,
Hey, everybody, make sure y'all hit the like button. You know, share this out on your social media platforms. If you're watching this on Facebook or whether you're watching this on YouTube, you know, hit all the little buttons. Help that algorithm get popping for us so more people have an opportunity to see us. Double check to make sure that you are subscribed to the channel as well, and click the notification bell so you can receive notifications whenever we go live with new episodes. I know it feel like it's been a minute, but we here. We here.
We here. We
Right on
back.
time, really.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. So how you doing tonight, brother? You good?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. It's been a busy and a blessing of a day. You know, so I'm
Right.
thankful, grateful. I've been waiting for this day. I'm like, I can't wait to get on this podcast.
Ah,
I'm always honored to be on, a platform. I've been seeing the work that you've been doing, beloved and sister. And I'm just very grateful to just you guys allow me to be on this platform. I'm also just very happy that I can share my story and hope that it can help and inspire somebody out here.
Let me
yes,
tell you,
indeed. Yes, indeed. That's what we here
your
for.
story is definitely right on time for me, my family. We have some things going on within. And just looking at your Instagram, of course, stories. And again, I've been sending them to my family because I need to I'm using you, right? Because sometimes I don't feel like I always have the words. You can say it over and over again, but maybe when they hear it from someone else that actually has going through something, it just hits different. So I've been so thrilled to have you on. And again, it's just like literally right on time to have
Yes,
you here speaking today.
yes, ma'am. Thank you so much. I appreciate that.
For sure, for sure. I feel the same exact way. I had to reach out to you as soon as I heard your story. We came across each other in the ABS tribe.
Yes, sir.
You know what I'm saying? And so as soon as I heard your story, I was immediately touched and inspired. You know what I mean? And just
Mhm.
watching you on social media, and just seeing, how you get down with your family, and how you out here
Yes.
pushing other people and motivating other people, you know what I'm saying, to pull themselves up and to just be great, you know what I mean, and reach inside themselves and find the God within. Just watching you do that, I'm like, man, once we started doing this, I'm like, that's definitely somebody I want to reach out to get on the show, because you have the ability to inspire so many people. A lot of times we look at our own circumstances, and we start feeling sorry for ourselves, making excuses for why we can't do this or that. And then to see somebody like you who's had to overcome so much out here
Right.
doing the damn thing, it kind of does away with a lot of excuses for a lot of us. So I say, yeah, let's get the brother on and let's talk, man. So let's go all the way back to the beginning, man. Tell us your story. I'll just let you spit it, man.
Yes, sir. Well, thank you again. Thank you all again. Well, as you said earlier, I was born in Washington, D.C. I was born July 8th, 1993. My biological mother's name was Sandra Vadina Wilson. Beautiful, beautiful woman. Real creative, real artistic. Loved to dance. She was the opposite of me as far as communication goes. Like, I'm an extrovert, but anyone that would have described my mother would describe her as an introvert. She was very quiet. My aunt will also describe her as one that would be very secretive as well. But she had a really big heart, however, she tried drugs, and, eventually she got hooked on drugs. So she became a drug addict. And I don't actually know my biological father, because when my aunt, found out that my mother was pregnant with me, my mother didn't tell her who my father was. And so I don't know to this day if he knew about me, or what the case was there. Now, my biological mother, she contracted HIV from using drugs, using heroin. And so she was sharing heroin needles, and that's actually how she contracted HIV. And then she passed it down to me. So I was actually adopted and raised by my beautiful mother. Her name's Sister Francine Mohammed, and she had joined the Nation of Islam in 1990. I think it was the same year that she had adopted me, 1993, or I think she started studying in 92, and then she had joined the Nation in 93, and then that's the year I was born. And then she have got me the following year in 94. It was that January, because I think I was like 7 months old, and I was born in July, so she picked me up in January. And so during the process, she had children of her own already. She had 4 children of her own. She had an older girl, and then she had 3 boys. So she wanted to adopt another girl. So she had her mindset on adopting a baby girl. However, going through the process, one day one of the people from the agencies called her, like the foster care people that she was working with, was like, "Hey, Miss Frazier," because that's her legal last name. "Mrs. Frazier, would you like to have a child with special needs?" And she was like, "What do you mean?" And then they explained that it was HIV. And she said when she first heard it, it was kind of like shocking, because it was like, back then, HIV was like the thing that you don't want to be near. You know what I mean? It was like it was spreading from left to right, and people were still dying from HIV and AIDS back then with the AIDS opportunist infections. And so she accepted the challenge, though. She said something in her heart to do it. And so on top of that, I was a boy, so I wasn't not only a girl, but not only that I had this condition, but I also was a boy. And so she said the moment she saw me, she fell in love with me. She said she went to visit me one time, and the moment so I was crying, but she said she saw me, and she said she immediately fell in love with me. And typically, when you're going through an adoption process, you got to spend some time with the children. And she had only saw me, I think, 1 or 2 times, but I was with the foster care. I was with the foster care mother at the time, but I kept getting sick or something, and so and I think I wasn't being cared for properly, and so I ended up in a hospital again. And this was like after a couple of times. And so my mom said she randomly got a call, and was like, hey, Miss Francine Frazier, can you come today? And she's all the way up. I was in DC Children's Hospital or something like that, and she was all the way up in like Gaithersburg, Maryland, which is like an hour some change away. She didn't have a car, so she had to get on the train, to get on the bus. She had to do all this and just to get me the day that she wasn't even expecting to get me.
Wow.
And so that was the beginning of the story. And my mother took me home. Didn't really even, no one knew much about HIV, but they gave her some basic courses on, how to take care of me, and so she brings me home. I even had some of my family members were actually a little scared of me because they're like, man, mom getting somebody or with HIV, you know what I mean? So being that there was a lot of misunderstandings about the disease as then, even up until this day, some of my family members were a little nervous. And so, she brings me home and, after about 2 years, I was so healthy that, the doctors were concerned. They were like, man, how is he so healthy? Because, they didn't expect me to be as healthy as I was. My mother first told me that I was HIV positive. Well, she didn't use HIV positive. She said I had like a infection in my blood or some special blood disease. I was 6. And so before then, I had already kind of knew that something was up because I was going to the doctors all the time, more frequently, not like every day, but like, every few months I would go to the doctors and I would see that my other siblings weren't going to the doctor. So I knew something was up. And so I had this, and it's so crazy because it just makes me think of a moment where I don't even remember this, but probably like a year or two ago, my wife and I was visiting my mother's house, and my mom had showed me this thing I made. I was like in, I think, kindergarten. She said I was no more than 5 or 6 years old, and I had wrote. We were studying Dr. Martin Luther King, as a child, and we all had to come up with a dream. And on a picture, I think I posted it says, "My dream is not to be sick, but to be better." This is me, 5, 6 years old. So I always knew something was up. But in my heart, I always desired to be healed. And always desired to be free from this disease, and always desired to inspire others. So my mother raised me. She always put faith in me, put the love of God in me, and she just always was like, you're gonna grow up one day. You're gonna marry somebody beautiful. You're gonna help a lot of people. You know what I mean? You're gonna live a long life. As long as you take care of yourself. And so that's just a little bit about me. And so I grew up always having a desire to want to help people, and and that's what I'm striving to do today. So hope I didn't give the super long-winded version.
No,
No, that was great. That was great. Definitely. It sounds like your mom spoke life into you, and she spoke healing. Obviously, a woman of faith as well. So I believe that love, that faith, and that speaking life into you, speaking healing into your ears all the time. Like you knew something was up, but I didn't know because that love that she was pouring into you. So that's a wonderful story. Good mom. I love your mom.
Thank you. Shout out to your moms, man. She had that key ingredient, man. That key ingredient, and that was just love and just God. You know what I'm saying? Right. She allowed God into the room, into the situation, and like you said, she didn't know much, but she allowed herself to be that vessel. You know what I'm saying? To pour into you, and that's a beautiful thing. Now that picture, do y'all still have that art piece that you did when you were a kid?
I did. I do. Oh wow, that's so funny. I didn't even know it was there. I promise you, I didn't know.
Wow.
I literally didn't know.
Hold on. 1 second. Let me spotlight.
Can you see? Let me get out the thing. I didn't even know it was there. I'm trying to. You see it?
Yes.
So I didn't type it. I just said what it was, and then on the back it says, I don't know if you can see that, but it says,
during the month of January, I learned about Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. I read stories about Dr. King and can sing a song about Dr. King. I learned about his dream. This is what I said about his dream and about my dream.
Yeah, and that's me. Now I don't even remember that.
To be better and not be sick. Wow.
I don't even remember that. I remember this age period now that we talk about it, but my wife and I, my mom had showed me that, and this was a little after I first shared my story with the world. and my wife, you know, I think she was tearing up. My mom was tearing. I had a lump in my chest because I'm like, man, I don't even remember this. You know what I mean? And so for me, it was just like, because I remember as a child, I remember the nights where, you know, I cried. I remember the nights where I talked to God. And so for me to like actually have that dream, and to this day, I'm still following that dream. You know what I mean? With the help of God, you know, with the love of God, the power of God, and the example my mother gave me, the love of my wife, you know, and her example, and those that are in my corner. You know what I mean? And so to me, that was like a defining moment. A defining moment. I remember one other defining moment. For some reason, this stuck to me a lot was when I don't even know if I was 6. I couldn't have been no more than 5 or 6 years old. But I remember my mother. You guys may have heard me share the story before, but I remember her sitting on a couch. I don't know if she was reading. I just remember her sitting there, and I was standing there looking at her, and I just felt this emotion come over, and I just started crying. And she's like, "Babe, baby, what's wrong? What's wrong?" And I'm like, "Mommy, I don't want to die." And I wasn't saying like ever. I was saying I don't want to, like, I'm at the doctors all the time. Like, hey, what's up? Like, I'm not trying to die, you know, so early. So she pulls me in, like, and she basically explains, you know, we all have to die someday. That's the way that God made it. But it doesn't mean that you won't be able to live a long life if you take care of yourself. You know, and she explains that to me, you know, but I just wanted to live to have a family, because as I started growing older, I was like, man, will I be able to, you know, be married? Because back then, as a child, you know, I was thinking that I had to marry somebody with HIV. And so for me, I wasn't discriminating against somebody else with HIV, but I started thinking about the children. Like, man, will the children have to have it? And I was like, then when I started getting older as a teenager, I'm like, man, that means I got to find somebody that like me. I like her. I love her. She like me. And she got to have HIV. And I was like, man, this is we got tough. You know what I'm saying? But then I started understanding, you know, I mean, I was a pretty confident guy, but I'm like, damn, I got to find somebody with the same thing I got and like it. But as I started growing older, I was like, you know what? You know, knowledge and science started advancing. You know, we found out that, you know, it can't be passed, you know, being that you're undetectable. And so now that's how I'm able to have a wife and children, you know, that don't have the disease. And so my desire is still to be healed. Like, I still have the disease, you know, and I still have problems. Like, I face daily problems like most people face. And on top of that, I have this disease. But like you said, Brother Sincere, it's like, you know, we get in our moments where it's tough, and it's like, man, I gotta. The only way out is to go through with it. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's like, you know, there's nothing else that I can do but to move forward. You know what I'm saying? And I get to a lot of places where I don't know where to go next, and the only thing I know to do is to get on my knees and pray to the Most High and be like, hey, Allah, God, help me get through this. What is my next steps?
Right. I was just going to ask you how big was your faith in getting you through some of those difficult moments, you know, the challenging times. I was going to ask, how has your faith gotten you through that, along with your family?
Well, it's man, it's, you know, I literally remember nights where I would ask God, like, you know, I would have nights as a child, because for me it was like, you know, I have HIV, but I was also kind of a little, I don't want to say insecure, but I had concerns in my mind, because not only did I have HIV, I used to think that my biological mother loved me. Did she, you know, because the way that I ended up in foster care in the first place was because my biological mother, she didn't have me. She had me at her friend's house or something. So my aunt, my biological mother's sister, said she was went over my mother's house, and I wasn't there. She was like, Dina, so called my mother, Dina, where my nephew at? Oh, he ain't here. She said, Dina, what you mean he ain't here? Where's he at? Oh, he at what's in there? And she's like, who is that? So they, you know, going back and forth. So she goes over to the people's house and like, hey, I need my nephew. And she didn't know the people. So she said, before you know it, police was over there. And I ended up, they about to lock her up, lock the other people up. So I ended up in foster care. You know what I'm saying? And so now I don't know, did my mom do that because he was trying to protect me from her using drugs, or did she do it because, you know, of something else? And so me knowing that growing up, you know, I would ask, you know, why was my mom on drugs? You know, being young, you don't understand my mom on drugs. Did she love me? Why was I at these people's house? I'm adopted. Does my mother that adopted me, does she love me just as much as she loved us? You know what I mean? So I would have these things, and on top of that, I have HIV, and then I would have adolescent hormones and teenager hormones. I had my trials and my berries, but I said, you know, I just want to, only way I know is to keep going. And so I would ask God, I would talk to God, you know what I'm saying? Even when I wasn't doing right, still would talk to God and just be like, you know, God, let me live a healthy life. Let me live a happy life. You know what I'm saying? And when I would turn 18, I think one thing that really had a big impact on my life was joining the Nation of Islam. You know what I'm saying? Because one thing I love and admire about the Nation is that, you know, we're faith-based, we're praying, we're taught to eat right. But it also gives us a lot of knowledge on self-knowledge, knowledge of God, to be able to implement everything that you're learning into your daily life to actually make a change. I used to, because in my own mind, I, you know, always believed in the law of God, but I used to always think, you know, God will sit on this big whiteboard about our markets are going to die this day or something. And it might be that way, but it's like he also gives us intellectual intelligence, you know what I'm saying, to be able to make decisions and take things into our own hands. And so that's the whole purpose of knowledge, is to make a right or wise decision. And so with the more knowledge you have, it can actually strengthen your faith level. So when I joined the Nation, I started studying more about God, faith, myself, eating right, taking care of my life. And I was like, the more I learned about God, you know what I'm saying, the more I learned about faith, then the more I learned about my own ability, it gave me more faith to be like, you know what, I can, okay, yeah, I got this disease, but I can eat better and live healthier. You know what I'm saying? I can run and work out and feel better in the morning. I can pray and have more connections and more prayer with spirituality with God, because the Marcus that's today isn't the same Marcus of 10 years ago or 20 years ago. Like I always was enthusiastic. I always had some level of faith, but there were a lot of times where I doubt. You know, I would look for guidance in other people, which even today I still learn from other people, but I look to the Most High. Like I don't, you know, I was always looking for something in the past. You know what I mean? And I think God just continued to grow me by continuing to pray and study, and just to have faith that even though I didn't have all the answers, just to continue to move forward. And before you know it, he removes some of the pain of the burden of having this disease, or give more understanding on, you know, instead of me being concerned about my mother, or did she, it could be, and instead of me thinking, oh, did she love me? I look at it like, okay, maybe she was a victim to this world. You know what I mean? She tried something, she made a mistake. Now she's hooked because of an addiction, and she's not making moral, you know, conscious, right decisions, you know what I'm saying, because of something that is a chemical imbalance in her system. You know what I'm saying? So when I started understanding that, I got away from the emotion and got more to the logical side and said, God is the best planner. You know what I mean? And so that's kind of how the faith continued to, and then even to this day, like I see God answering my prayers. Even those years, like, you don't know, we may pray for something one day, God, like, all right, I got it for you, but you got wait a few years, wait 20, 30 years, because 20, 30 years to God is nothing. To us, it seems like a long time. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, man. So I got so many questions. First, I want to say about the art piece that you did when you were a child, because, like I said, I'm watching you on social media. You know, you're building a community for yourself, around yourself, with everything that you got going on with your business and entrepreneurship and all of that, and just all of that is built around your story. So that is an NFT piece.
Oh, really?
That's an NFT. So I don't know, you know, how much you know about the space. I don't know how much you know about the space, but definitely learn all that you can about the blockchain NFT space, because you definitely got something that's very powerful there that will probably turn into generational wealth somewhere down the line as you continue to build everything that I see you building right now. You know what I'm saying? Because you know what I mean? That's what that space really is about. You know, the pieces, the art pieces that people are putting out, there's a story behind it. That's what gives it the value.
Oh, wow.
You know what I'm saying? So your story is an incredible one. You know what I'm saying? So just keep that in mind, and don't let nothing happen to that.
I'm gonna look into that. I've been actually learning right before we got on the call. I was looking at what's his name, brother Prince Darnell's page, and then he was showing some artwork of his NFTs that he was doing for his tax company, and I was like, man, I gotta learn. I was just talking to my wife for this. I said, I want to learn more about the NFTs, because I'm like, when something new, I don't want to be like when Apple was like $5-10 a stock and everybody, or Bitcoin this amount. All right, here's another opportunity. Y'all can miss out. It's like, I want to get it, but I don't know nothing about it. Like, I've been looking on some YouTube stuff, but it's like, that's something I do learn more about, because like you said, like that, to me, that was educational to me, because I didn't know I knew people were doing some stuff like it's like original. If it's like an original piece of NFT, it's valuable versus just taking a screenshot. Like I've heard a little bit about that, but I'm learning. So thank you for that, and I'm gonna definitely check that out some more.
Yeah, absolutely. Is this your wife in the chat, Miss Shakura Muhammad?
Yes, that's my wife right there. Yeah, my son was born on my biological mother's birthday. So what's funny is, you know, I have one biological sister, and she is older. She's like in probably her late 30s or early 40s. She has 2 children. All right, a nephew. Her firstborn was a son, a boy, and her secondborn was a girl. Now her second child was born on my niece was born on my mother's birthday, May 28th. Not playing, just born. Now my son, who's my second child, was born on the same day. Just, different year, but the same day. I mean, he was playing by God, but we wasn't like calculating the date that he was going to be born. It was just like, we having a child, you know what I'm saying? And so,
won't he do it?
Both her children now have their second child on the same day that she was born. So I don't know. That's just, I don't look at anything as in the Nation of Islam is just saying that we don't believe in coincidences.
Absolutely.
Right.
And I'm just like, what is the likelihood of both her children? I can see there were like both second children were born on her birthday. So my wife was like, man, your mom's a powerful woman.
Yeah,
so,
sure.
Things happen like as I grow in knowledge and faith, I used to question God because I remember reading Elijah Muhammad's works and Minister Farrakhan. They would say, Allah basically God makes everything happen. He knows something to happen before it even happens. And so I would always ask myself, like, well, why are these people dying? Why are there so much sickness in the world? Why I got this disease? You know what I mean? And I may ask my mother. But, as I grow, I start learning that sometimes God will cause pain to create, strength. You know what I mean? He may cause somebody or people or a person or whatever to go through something so painful because he knows that down the line is going to give birth to something that's so great that nobody will be able to break. And when I started learning how diamonds were formed, and I put on the back of my book the process of diamonds, and I said, diamond starts off as a piece of rock or coal, and it doesn't become a diamond until after millions and billions of years of being 93 to 100 miles deep below the Earth's surface. There's over 725,000 pounds of atmospheric pressure per square inch on a rock at all times, and on top of that, over 1,800 to 2,000 degrees Fahrenheit of heat that's applied to the rock, and it has to go through that consistently to form itself to a diamond. You know what I mean? This is a rock. So, to some extent, through in the time period that we're in, we as a people have to go through certain things, because how will we know the gifts and the jewels that God put within us? And so it's not easy going through it. They're like, hey, come on, man. But the more you put yourself through it, the more God is gonna, and so, the more I pray and study, I start learning that a little more, and that helps me remind me of to continue my faith and continue my journey, because it's not easy, doing this and trying to inspire other people. You got your own deep, you gotta deal with.
So you mentioned joining the Nation of Islam at some point, but you said your adopted mother was already in the nation. So, but did you see yourself going astray early on, and then you came back to the nation, or how did that work?
Yeah. So as a teenager, I always in my heart loved, Allah, God. I always loved the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad. I always loved the minister, and I never even questioned if what I was taught was true or false or anything like that. I always kind of believed in it. What I didn't like as a child, it was I felt like I should do what I should want to do. You know what I mean? I felt like I want to do what Marcus want to do. You know what I mean? And so as a teenager, I was I remember one time, I would think I was 16 or 17, and we had, my mom invited me. She had me come out to the mall. She said, Minister Farrakhan speaking. You coming? I'm like, yes, ma'am. All right. So Minister speaks, and I'm like a teenager, and he crushes it. I'm like, dang, and I'm a little older now. When I'm 7, 8, 9, 10, it was always the love, always the respect. I always saw man, that guy is something different as a child. But now I'm older, so now I still have that respect and love and admiration, but now I have more wisdom to actually comprehend of what he's teaching on. So he's teaching, and I'm like, when he's teaching, it's like he was talking to me, and I was looking around like my mom, like, all the time, like, bro, like, I mean, the things he was saying was like everything he was talking about, I was going through was like he was like literally having a conversation. I remember actually looking like what's this? Like, I'm in North Carolina at the time. I'm looking like this. And I'm looking at my mom like, did she know? Like, did she write him or something? Like, you know. So after we leave, I'm like just amazed about how he's speaking. So then my mom is like, you know, when you gonna write your letter? And then she's like, we have this process where we gotta write our letter, you know, and I'm like, so when she said that, just everything went down. I was like, I ain't ready. She, what you mean you're ready? Don't you believe in him? Like, I do believe in it. She said, why not just join and go ahead? Because you got to actually accept and recite for your own. Mm-hmm. I'm like, Mom, it's too many rules. She's like, rules are good. Everything's supposed to have, life is ordained by rules. So I don't know, Mom, I just want to wait till after I'm done with college. And so then she's like, you know, well, I remember because I remember she had her white garments on, you know, shining. And then she said, I prayed that Allah, God, and a person, Master Muhammad, forgives me. I've tried to give Islam to all my children, but you all just don't want to accept, you know. And when she said that, I felt so bad. I was like, dang. I said, I do love the nation. I love the minister. I love what we're taught. I said, I don't disbelieve in everything I love. I said, am I ashamed? And I think it was like a shameness in me. Because at that time, you know, I grew up, I didn't go to MUI. I went to public school. So everybody Christian, everybody celebrating the holidays. Here I am. Oh, I don't celebrate Christmas. Like, what you mean, bro? Like, man, I'm Muslim, man. We know pork, you know, so I'm already going back and forth, you know what I'm saying? So then it's like, I got to go out with the papers too. So I'm like, man, so I start saying, I'm like, damn, well, the prophets and messengers, they was out doing the work, you know, Jesus was out teaching the people, you know what I'm saying? Moses was out teaching the people, Noah was out teaching the people. Why am I ashamed? Who am I to like be ashamed of something that's true? I gotta be different, you know? And so when I started looking at my life like that, I said, all right. So at that point, I started studying more. I started reading The Message of the Black Man. I'm like, man, this book is deep. You know what I'm saying? I was reading that thing. And I was like, and so I started reading for months, you know what I mean? At this time, I was going out partying, you know, hanging out with my friends, staying out late, you know what I mean? And, you know, chasing after, you know, before I wasn't married now, I was a teenager. So, you know what I'm saying? I was getting into the mix. But after this, I started to kind of calm down because I was like, you know, I started to think when I looked at my mother, I started thinking because she said, when she said that, I felt bad. I felt like this like butterfly in my stomach. Like butterflies was in my stomach. When she said that, I had the picture. I don't know if you all saw the picture of Master Muhammad when he's like reading. That picture appeared in my mind, right? And I started thinking about the Most Honorable Muhammad, the minister. And then I started thinking about, I said, I wouldn't even be here. Right then and there, I said, I wouldn't even be here if she didn't even become Muslim. Because her becoming Muslim, that whole process was what helped her and gave her the faith, the mindset to even get me and not only get me, but keep me alive because she followed Heidi to live from Elijah Muhammad, the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad. And so I said, I wouldn't even be here if it wasn't for the nation. I need to like stop being the way I am. So at that point, I started to really take time to study it. And so months went by. And before you know, I started being at the mosque more. You know, then I turned 18. Then I worked on my letter and then I eventually recited. So it was always in my heart, bro. But it was like I had to accept it from home. You know what I'm saying? Right. So that's a little bit of the process of, you know, my developing in a nation.
Indeed. And so how to eat to live, you know what I'm saying? How valuable and important is that to you specifically, you know what I'm saying? Dealing with your condition and all that, you know what I'm saying? How important was that book and that information from the Honorable Elijah Muhammad on how to eat to live?
That's a very excellent question. You know, as a child, I always in my heart, like when I would hear the doctor say, you know, you can live 65, 70 years old. I'm like, man, I'm going to live longer than that. Ain't nothing. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, I died. And, you know, because I'm in my mind, I'm doing a math, but I'm 10 right now. If I take 10 and times about 7, that's not really a long time. You know, and so I always in my heart desired to live longer. And I felt like, man, what if there's a way that I could live 1,000 years? What if there's a way that I could live 500 years, right? And so when I turned, I think 18, I read How to Live. And right when he comes in, he talks about Noah and Methuselah. And he talks about how when you read them in the Bible, it talks about them living 900 years old. And he explained the reason why they lived that long is because of the foods they ate and how often they ate. They ate once every 3 days or once a week or so. And then he gives the process that obviously, you know, you can't just jump out there and do that. You got to build your body up. You know, start off eating 1 meal a day, master that, eat 1 meal every day. So when I read that, it was just amazing to me because I was like, oh my God, you literally can live a long life just by eating less and eating healthier, you know? And so I was like, man, I'm gonna live a couple hundred years, you know? And so I started studying that. and that helps me to this day. You know, and that alone isn't what, you know, helps me basically. Like, I haven't found the exact food or regimen to like eliminate HIV or maintain it naturally all 100% yet. But I know, like, I believe in my heart that if I was like in my own land, I was growing my own food, and the atmosphere, the air was clean, I think that the food enough will be enough to destroy the virus or strengthen my immune system enough to basically suppress the HIV. Because my thing is this: when God created the heavens and the universe, he saw all this. He saw all the diseases, and he created the body and the fruits and the vegetables of the earth and the herbs to actually be able to fight and guard ourselves from this. But the food that we're eating has been tampered with. The water that we're eating has fluoride. It's not real water. The air that we're breathing is polluted. And so our bodies are consistently fighting, because even when we're trying to eat as healthy as we can eat, the food is 1/3 or 1/10 of nutrients. It has 1/4 or 1/5 of nutrient value that it should have. So it's lacking the vitamins and nutrients that it needs. And then on top of that, they're adding extra GMO and chemicals inside of the food. And then we're breathing in this toxic air, breathing water. And so even though How to Eat to Live is so effective because it helps our bodies, the whole purpose of it, like, is not only to clean your body out, but one thing is that it helps your body get rid of the toxins. Because Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad says that one of the reasons why 1 meal a day is so effective is because all foods have toxins in them. And he said it takes our body at least 24 hours to fight off these toxins. So if we're putting food in our body less, then we're putting toxins in our bodies less. Even the best foods have toxins, you know. And so it takes 24 hours for those to kill them.
Have you gotten pushback from like traditional doctors? You know what I'm saying? Based off of this practice, like, have traditional doctors try to say, nah, you got to eat more? And, you know,
definitely. I asked one doctor one time, you know, this was a time I was I still kind of do like self-experimenting on my body, like try different regimens. So one time I went to the doctor, my viral went up a little bit because I wasn't taking any medicine at this point. I was like, I'm gonna try just naturally. And he was like, yeah, the only way is basically take your medicine. I said, well, let me ask you a question. Will the way I eat help at all? He said, not really. He said, HIV doesn't really work that way. The only thing that really has an effect with it is the medicine. So I'm saying, so you're telling me if I took away all meat, took away all sugar, and ate all fruits and vegetables and organic food, it wouldn't make much of a difference? And he's like, not really. So my mind, to me, that was a red flag. I'm like, literally, like, come on, bro. Like, you went to school for how many years? And that's why I don't even, like, I don't advise people not to go to the doctor, but I literally go to the doctor just to make sure I don't got nothing chronic. Because I feel like I know more about them, about the body, than they can tell me, because I'm teaching them about the body. And when I talk to them about eating 1 meal a day or fasting, they look at me like I'm crazy, you know. And now I will say, those that have chronic disease or certain illnesses, they have to be careful with fasting and the way they're eating, you know, because obviously if you're sick, you do need more food, but it doesn't mean that we have to eat 3-4 times a day. Now if you're in a deathbed, it's different, you know what I'm saying? But if you have a disease that's chronic but maintainable, you can still eat 1 meal a day. Even if you got to take medicine, you can take your medicine, unless you take it like 8-12 pills a day. But if you just get 1 or 2, 3 pills a day, you can take that with your dinner. You know what I mean? And still, you might not live a whole long life, but you'll still, like the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad said, you can start 1 meal a day in your 50s and 60s, and you'll still add years to your life. You know? And so, so there are a lot of people to this day that push back. Some people see me like, oh, you only look young because of genetics. I'm like, genes could have a play, but genes don't override the way that you eat and the way that you think. The way that you eat overrides your genetic makeup. You know what I'm saying? Because we're taught in the Nation of Islam that God can cause us to grow into a new growth, and that we follow. Jesus comes to give us life and give it to us more abundantly. So we come to follow that and put the right foods. We can change our DNA. You know what I mean? Our parents could have been on drugs. Like my mother was on drugs. I used to think, damn, I might not live long because she's on drugs and I got this disease. But in my mind now, I know I can change my genetic makeup, you know, by eating properly and thinking the right thoughts.
The question for you too. Yeah. So when you were born, obviously you were born with HIV. Were you also born with drugs in your system as well?
Yes, ma'am. So my mother said that one of the doctors had told her that when I was born, my mother who raised me, they said I had almost every street drug in my system, you know, at the time, you know, because I know my aunt said my mother's drug choice was, what was it? PCP, angel dust. That was her
In
drug.
DC, you said, right?
Yep.
In DC, yeah, that was definitely a drug of choice out there back in those days. Yeah.
But she would use others, you know, like heroin is how she called it. So she would use that here and there, and other drugs. But I think the PCP was the main one she used. And I believe when she was pregnant with me, she was also on drugs because that's when my aunt saw her on the streets and brought her in, cleaned her up. And while she was bathing her, is when she saw her stomach. And she's like, "Didn't you pregnant?" And she's like, and they start conversing. She's like, "Who's their daddy? And who's the dad?" She's like, he don't got a dad like that. So I don't know what happened there. You know what I'm saying? If there was an argument or if he knew, if he didn't know. My mom like, dang, did he know? Like, you know, did he not know? Was he because according to my aunt, my mother was very beautiful, you know. I wish I had a picture of her, but very beautiful. And my aunt said she was very pampered, even though she was on drugs. She always had somebody to kind of care for her. Like she always had a man, you know, I guess giving her money, maybe giving her the drugs. I don't know, but she had somebody caring for her. So I don't know if there was a relationship that was there, or if it was like one of those things where it wasn't a relationship. I don't know. You know, hopefully one day I find out if he still exists and what the story was behind it. But you know, that's all I know for now.
You should maintain a relationship with your aunt and anybody else in the family.
My biological mother.
Yeah.
Well, she had died. She passed when I was 2. So after
I'm saying that your aunt or anybody else in that family, have you?
Oh yeah,
a relationship?
My aunt. Yeah. So my mother. So what happened? The story is funny. So my mother was in the process of adopting me. My mother who raised me. At the same time, my aunt was in the process of adopting me. So they was like, my aunt was like, "That's my nephew. You ain't get my nephew from me, you know." And my aunt, she'll tell you to this day, she was feisty. She said, "Man, I gave you such a hard time. I feel so bad." She said, "That was a feisty little thing." She said, "I did not want her to have you." I said, she going to, you know, see me basically. Like, she ain't getting my nephew. But she said she got me, and she said she was so hurt and so pissed off. But she said after she saw me when I was like about a year and a half or 2, she said I was so healthy. When she saw me, she just immediately fell in love with my mother. And she said when you start growing up, I just knew. She said my aunt's a Jehovah's Witness, and she said I knew that Jehovah God planned for your mother to have you, because when I saw how healthy you was, she said I would have listened. She said your mother didn't listen to the doctors. She didn't give you the medicine. Children were dying. It was still on the medicine, and she didn't listen to them doctors. And I would have listened to everything they said, Marcus. You might not have been here. I think Jehovah God, you know, she said, you be dead, Marcus. You be dead. I'm telling you. You know, my aunt proves medical stuff. You know what I'm saying? And she told me, I think I was 18. She told me, I didn't know this until I was 18, but she said, my mother told me that to adopt a child, you had at that time that had HIV, you had to be in good physical shape. So they had to pass a physical. I didn't know my aunt had to take the physical too. She said both times she failed. One time failed. One time she couldn't even take the physical. She fell ill all of a sudden, got sick. So she couldn't even get out of bed. And then the other time she said she didn't pass it. And she said at this point of her life, she was pretty healthy. So she said, looking back at it now, she think God made her sick. So that way my mother, when I heard this, I was 18. I'm like, man, that's crazy.
Wow.
This is years ago, and I'm learning now. So I got the chills, and I start smiling. Dang, God really wanted me to be here. Because
for sure, I'm getting the chills right now.
Yeah,
for sure.
That was crazy.
If I start boo-hooing, y'all just ignore me. If I start boo-hooing, just ignore me, and that's just.
I might start booing. I'm not coming up. My wife was like, hey, you better not embarrass me up there.
This dude funny.
You better not go. No, I was like, better not go up there and embarrass me now. No, I'm just playing. I joke. I be joking with her. Yeah, babe, this might be the one. I might start busting out crying or something. She said, you better not go.
Right?
I'm not crying. I be laughing. Like, you done had all these interviews. They don't cry on this one.
Look, I think everybody crying because ain't nobody in the chat saying nothing. Where y'all at in the chat?
Nothing. Right.
Everybody over there with some tissue, like, listen, hit the like button. Say something in the chat. What's wrong with y'all?
I done scared them away. But you know, I try to.
These are definitely happy tears.
You know, somebody commented on my post one time saying, "Oh, so sad, I'm crying" or something. Like if they were sad, and I said, "Don't be sad, be happy. Like this is a time of joy. You know, I'm here." But you know, it's a I guess it's a love, emotional story. You know, and I try not to. I get emotional all the time because I'll be looking like. The minister posted this one post one time on Twitter, and it like stuck out to me so much because I think when he posted, I actually was going through stuff. He said, when you're going through struggle and hardship, basically, he was like, you know, I forgot the exact words. But he said, take a look at all that you have, and you'll just see how blessed you are. You know what I mean? And I look at life, and I look at all the things we try to do, and I'm like, man, I got a wife, I got children, I don't have the disease, I got 5 fingers, I can breathe,
Right.
I got water in the kitchen, I got food. You know what I mean? And there's a lot of things that I desire in life, but it's like all the basic essential things I have. The greatest gift that God can give is life, which I have, and so it's those little, they're not little, but we seem little because sometimes we get focused on so much, but we're literally here and present today in a powerful time period. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And so when I go to hardships and struggle, I reflect on those times, and I just thank God, and I just keep pushing through. You know what I mean? Because it can be an emotional story, because for me, it's not emotional. It's emotional for me, but it's more so for all the young men and women that have been born with certain conditions out here. We've lost their parent. I lost my biological mother. I don't know my biological father. You know what I'm saying? Then on top of that, I had to deal with other trauma. You know what I'm saying? So it makes me think of all the people that have suffered, but it also makes me think of how strong we are if we only but knew.
Right.
I think a lot of times. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Oh no, I was just saying, I think a lot of times we go through things and we don't know the strength that's in us, because we may not know a way out. You know what I mean? Because there's always a way out, though. We may not see it, but there's always a way out.
Yeah, because I was going to ask you too about the foster care versus your aunt situation before you mentioned it too, because I'm like, you hear these stories a lot of times about children getting taken away from their natural family and put into the foster care system. Black children in particular, you know what I'm saying? Where there's always a family member who's willing to take the child, but they give Black families a hard time, you know what I'm saying, when it comes to taking these children. You know what I mean? Then they get funneled into the foster care system, and who knows, you know what I'm saying, what type of abuse and stuff that a lot of kids go through in that system. So fortunate enough for you, you landed with somebody who was loving, and you know what I'm saying? You with us today, sharing your story. You know what I mean? Because that could have been another nightmare.
For real. Yeah, there's a lot of unloving people out here that get children for the wrong reasons. And it's just some unfortunate situations, some sick people out here, but I thank God, thank a lot of God that He blessed me to be with someone who loved me and to help shape me into the person I am today. And my mother would always say, and I didn't know this, my mother would say this, my sister would say this, my brother would always say that when they, like for an example, I got pneumonia when I was a child. And I remember one of the other defining moments of my life was me waking up and I had tubes in my nose. I probably was no more than 2 or 3. And I remember having tubes in my nose and stuff on my hand, like at the hospital. And I looked over on my right, and I remember my mother, she was like sleeping in a chair. And I felt like sad to be there, and I felt sad that she was there. I could sometimes overhear my mother crying, and she was like, "It's not your fault, it wasn't your fault," that I was born with this disease. And I always just wanted to, help her, you know what I mean, and give love back to her and help other people that go through certain things, But it's like, me going through that at a young age, I think it kind of shaped me to be this way, to like, but it's like when I went through that, what I was saying was my mother, my brother, my sister would always say, I will be sick and I'll be happy, like just be laughing, playing. Like I always had this happy spirit about me. You know what I mean? Like I never was like, I had my moments where I was upset, but I never was like a depressed person and angry or hate the world. It was like I always tried to be understanding. Even I would be upset sometimes with my mom or like trying to understand my biological mom, but it was like never out of hate or anger. It was just out of like, wow, mom, why did this happen? But it was always like, God got a plan. You know what I'm saying? Like it was always like I'm trying to, even at a young age. And I didn't see myself like this. This is something that was told to me. Like, yeah, Marcus, when I first shared my story, my brothers, my sister, my mom was talking to me more about it. Like, yeah, man, sometimes we would forget. Like we knew you had it, but we weren't really thinking about it day to day, So I started sharing my story more. It was like, I remember you as a young child, because people were like, man, he's so inspirational. He's so this and that. It was like, yeah, he always been like that. As a child, he was always like real outgoing, real even be sick and just, push through with it. Like, I'll be upset, pop right back, don't hold no grudges, you know what I'm saying? And it's like I think the reason why is because I always wanted to just live. Like I didn't have time to be like worried about, like I'm like, hey man, I'm trying to live. Like man, there's bugs out here. Dirty, I'm about to ride my bike. Like, hey man, like I'll focus on that later. I'm trying to live life. Might not later be on the dock. I gotta get it right now. You know what I'm saying?
That's deep.
Right now. Right.
That's deep.
So outside of, your siblings, maybe cousins and stuff like that, your disease shared with the like school staff? Did they treat you different? Did friends in the neighborhood or classmates treat you any different, or do you have a really good experience with them as well?
No one really knew my mother. Like even my younger brother didn't even know until I was older. I think like until we were like older teenagers, because she didn't want to just tell him and then he not understand and tell people.
Mm-hmm.
And then so really it was my siblings. I think I had like maybe a couple family members, like aunts or something that knew. Maybe like a member in the nation when I was real young, that I probably didn't even know at the time knew. I think my mom may have told like one not social worker, like a school counselor maybe, but it wasn't like the teachers know or anything like that. It was like, my mom kept it real confidential because she didn't want people to treat me different, and she didn't want it to be like a big thing where people like, oh, he's like. She didn't want people to have pity for me, but she also didn't want me to be treated like I had special needs. And I even like, even when I share my own story, like I didn't share their stories so people can look at me different. I was like, hey, y'all treat me like the same mark as y'all know. You know what I'm saying? Don't feel bad for me. Don't be trying to treat me like I'm different. I'm just me. You know what I mean? And so I think for her, she tried to guard me against that. So no one had knew this. I never even told. None. Like the first person I told was a close friend in high school. I was like 16 or 17 at the time. But I didn't even tell nobody before that, you know what I mean? Because I didn't know how to, didn't know how anyone was going to take it because, back then, I don't know how it is in school these days, but, back then people were like, oh, man, you play around. Man, don't touch him. He got, not me, but, man, don't touch him, man. He got AIDS. He got HIV, man. Don't touch him. Don't touch her, man. They nasty. So I would, playing like that. I would hear that, knowing they didn't talk about me, but it would make me feel a little like, dang, like, I definitely can't be telling people this, man. Look how they did it.
The stigma.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what I was about to ask you too. Like before you started sharing, did you hear jokes like that? And you know what I'm saying? So yeah, like what are some of the most common misconceptions that people have about HIV?
One of the main things is that a lot of people think just because you have it, your family's bound to have it. So like for me, I was shocked about how many people would think just because I'm married with children, think my wife and children automatically have it. Like I made that post on that one, I don't know if it's on TikTok, it's on IG too, where I have the yellow one, I'm like dancing on HIV, and it went viral on TikTok, and then it got like 5 million views, and it got like 6,000 comments. But it's like there's so many people comment like, father, what do you mean? He has children? His children have it? He infected his wife? And I'm like, bro, where y'all been at? Like, sis, where you at? So I got to go out there and like, no, if you're undetectable, you can't get it. You know what I'm saying? Or it's like there's a lot of people that have HIV that have families right now that don't have the disease. They become spread one with somebody that doesn't know they're affected or doesn't know they have the disease, and they're out there spreading it around, or they're not being safe. You know what I'm saying? Or they have it and they're not taking care of their self properly. They're not taking care of they're not taking medicine, or they don't have a regimen that they're on to be able to suppress the virus, and so they're spreading it. Or some people have STDs. If you have an STD, if you have it, it can be spread easier because of STD. There's blood, there's infection and stuff, so stuff can be spread easier through STDs because they can find a way to inject through pores and pus and whatever that on there. And so that's one big misconceptions, is that, and another thing is that people automatically think that because one got HIV, you're not supposed to have like a normal life, like your life is just. Cause there's a lot of it's not disease you want to run around, but like, yeah, I got HIV, I'm Gucci. But it's like, I'm not saying be like that, but some people get it and literally like it destroys their life. Like they literally are depressed. Like, they don't even want to live no more. And I'm like, hey, I mean, you got it, and it's like, of course, nobody wants to have it, but you gotta just, when God gives you lemon, make lemonade. God gives you out, make out, but you gotta take control of your life. Like, because the thing is, it's not a death sentence. Like, I don't want to have it either, but it's like it's not a death sentence. I'm gonna take control of my life. I might not live I'm praying I could live over 100 years old, but I might live maybe 10 years less than the average person. If I don't think I am, but let's just say if I was an average person, and it was the case, the fact is I'm still going to live a long life if I choose to. But when people get it and they start basically, well, I'm gonna take drugs now. I'm just gonna drink all the time. I'm gonna smoke all the time. I'm not gonna take care of myself. You destroying your own life. The HIV is destroying you. You destroying your own life. So that's one misconception is that, the passing it around. I'm trying to make sure I'm not missing nothing. Some people think that kissing, you'll get it. They say like they used to say in the if you have a cut in your mouth, you get it, but it's like almost impossible. Like you literally would have to be bleeding in your mouth, and the other person has to be bleeding, and there's like no air at all. Because once the air touches the virus, it destroys HIV on site. So it's like even that is like, you want to be safe. Like I don't think nobody should be kissing nobody anyway if they have a cut in their mouth. You know what I'm saying? But it's like if your mouth is sore, like why are you kissing somebody? Like you shouldn't do that anyway. But it's like they say. It's not in HIV is not in saliva. And people are like, why? What do you mean? You can get tested and get positive. The antibodies are in the saliva, but HIV, the virus is not in the saliva. It's only in the blood and in the body fluids, like sexual fluids. But it's not in the saliva. But it's in the blood. That's why, and most cuts in the mouth aren't even bleeding. They're like just like a sore. It's not bleeding. So really the only way to catch it is like, sharing needles, which hopefully people aren't doing out here like that. STDs, or if you have it and you're not, where I do recommend people do get tested, like if they're out there doing stuff and they're not, doing what they need to be doing, being smart, then they should go get tested, because if you're not, then it's like you could be spreading anything out here and not know, so it's like get tested, know what you got, you know what I'm saying, then just be smart about everything you do before you do it. A lot of people think that because you got HIV, you should tell somebody on day one. So like when I made a post, like in the Nation of Islam, we have a courtship, so we don't even do anything physical until after marriage. We get to know each other on the mental, spiritual, emotional, moral level. So I had to know my wife. I can't be, hey, courtship day one. Yeah, I got HIV, by the way. And she went, oh, hold up. Hey, we got to cut this off. I had to get to know her, make sure it was somebody I can think that I would be able to marry. And I had to make sure that she liked me at the same time and saw me as somebody maybe potentially. And once we got to that point, which was about maybe, I think 2 months, because we were courting for 2 months. So I got to see that she was a good person. She was very compassionate. She had a really big heart. And this was somebody I desired to be my wife. I said, okay, now I got to share with her this story. So then I share with her, you know what I'm saying? So people should be smart about when they share it. Not saying wait. Some people get in relationships and want to wait, a year, 2 years. I'm like, you're kind of setting yourself up at that point, you know what I'm saying? But you don't want to tell people on day one or week one, but you want to give them enough time, or you don't want to give them too much time to where you fall in love and you can't, because with Nation of Islam courtship, there's no guarantee. Like you can cut the courtship off at any time and no hard feelings. Like it's like, I didn't say I was going, this is like we're in it together to get to know one another, but it's not like we are entitled to be married. So I got to tell my wife, she was like, yeah, you're a great brother, but this may not be the road I want to go down. I was like, what, thank you for giving me the chance, and I wouldn't have been mad. But when people are dating and they're doing other stuff, then they feel like they are like, dang, we've been doing this and now you're just sharing it. Now might be some, some upsetness involved. You know what I mean? So those are some of the myths that you that my wife can't, my wife don't have, my children don't have it, that you can have children. Some people think if they're women, you're automatically going to pass it to the children. Not necessarily. If you're undetectable, your child most likely won't have it. You got to be real careful with nursing, still. But nowadays they can nurse, and not pass it as well.
Wow.
Yeah, so I think, again, your whole story, you could see God's hand playing out, and what I'm saying, because the fact that, you're part of the Nation of Islam, the women that you are courting are already of a certain mindset and have a lot of knowledge. So it would be a lot different if you were just out in the world, what I'm saying, like you said, dealing with people that have all these misconceptions and lack of knowledge about the situation. It would be probably a lot harder to convince somebody that, it's okay. You know what I mean? You safe. You know what I mean? So,
and so the first person I told was in high school, and she was actually, basically like a girlfriend. And I told her, and she actually, at the time she accepted, you know,
Wow.
me for who I was, you know. Now for her, you know, it was a little different because she actually had a family member that had it, and so she didn't know like ins and out like I did, but she kind of understood that, you know, one can have it and not pass it over. They ain't really a death sentence, you know what I'm saying? And that's why it's so key to, for me, the education that, you know, for me, I just think that, you know, if somebody does, there's always gonna be somebody out here that's like, you can educate them, you can give them everything you can give them, and they're still gonna be like, yeah, I can't. It's just, you know, it ain't for me, or they might misjudge you. But it's like some people just may not want to go down that road, and that's fine. Some people may misjudge you a certain way, but there are people out here that if you are sincere and your heart is good, and you can tell their heart is good, and you share with them, they will accept you. You know what I mean? And not just a lot of people. Like I had people in my post like, oh, you know, but she a black, you know, black women always gonna love the black man, but there's a lot of black women out here that have the HIV virus that don't have a man. Like the man want to accept us. I'm like, not necessarily, because I know women that have men that are HIV positive that have a man that accepted them. You know what I'm saying? So that might be the case for some, but that's not necessarily the case, because there are a lot of men that hit me up. Like, hey man, nobody just accepted me, and there are women that also hit me up as well. So it's like that I want to get advice on how to share with their people. But I have a family member that is a woman who is positive and has a husband that's negative, and they have children that are negative. So it's not it just all depends on the person. And that's why I always share with people that you gotta be careful in these relationships, because I've literally talked to several people that are in relationships for a year, 2 years, and they have not told the person. I'm just like, well, y'all all lovey-dovey, and you gonna tell them, and then they're gonna be heartbroken, and y'all break up, and then you feel like your whole world's ended. You need to like not wait that long, because it's like that's a long time kind of to me. Like, you went in the relationship for 2 years, you're like, oh yeah, by the way, thanks for the ring, but I'm positive, and you're like, dang, like, we live. You're not gonna tell me. And I get it, because it's tough, because it's like, but that's the whole point of me. Like, you want to kind of get to know them, but you don't want to wait too long, because you don't want to get so committed and then tell them, and then it's like you done do 2 days, 2 years, or a whole year down the drain. You know what I'm saying? So it's real. It's and it's hard, because it's like everybody don't have it, so it's like everybody might not accept you. You know what I'm saying? But I think if everybody got the right mindset, you know, and doing the right thing, somebody's out here for everybody. Somebody's out here for that person. You know?
Right.
And so man.
I'm sorry, go ahead. I was going to say, I think a lot of people wait because of the fear of rejection, the fear of, you know, being misunderstood and stuff. I don't think it's intentional a lot of times. Yeah, you have a lot of nut jobs that are mad because they have it and they go out and do reckless things. I think, though, for the most part, you know, the percentage of people that are just scared of rejection, scared of not being loved, I think that's more the reason why people don't just come out and tell, you know, a year later or so like that. Like, they're really trying to hold on to that person because they've fallen in love. It's selfish, but you also get it at the same time, because now you love me, you know what I'm saying, and I love you, and I want to hold on to this.
Yeah. And you know, and I think my wife is, and it's like, y'all know that his brother, but his wife putting her up on the top of the pyramid. But I literally think every woman is divine, put it like that. You know, every woman is divine. I'm putting that out there. Take my hat off to the women, especially the black women. You know what I'm saying? Oh, yeah. But my wife is like from God, you know, because like it was for me. Like, I believe that she was handmade for me. You know what I mean? Because she actually did a project in high school, and guess what her topic was?
Magic Johnson. Magic Johnson.
It wasn't Magic Johnson, but it was HIV and AIDS. The whole paper, she made a video and everything, and she forgot. She didn't even remember. Even after I told her, she didn't remember. I think I forgot when she found out. I don't know if she was going through her documents, her mother told her something. But she actually texted to me the other day. I wonder if it's on my phone. Let's see if I can pull it up. But she actually texted me the other day, like literally a few days ago. She's texting me the report that she had did. Yep, there it goes. It says AIDS treatment. You know, it says Shakur's right, AIDS treatment. And she's like, I think we could do a video about HIV AIDS in DC. We could find different people with AIDS stories to interview at least one person, some charts and statistics on AIDS in DC. If it's hard to find people with personal stories on AIDS, we can possibly interview somebody who works in a hospital, and they can say how many people they come in with positive results of AIDS. They could say how these people look normal and you can't tell who has it, things like that. The angle is that there is a lot of AIDS in DC, and you don't even know who they are because you can't tell who they are. Trying to find somebody with AIDS, and she goes on and on. This was 2009, right?
Wow.
I got married in 2014. We met. I think we met in 2012, 2013 or something, but we started our courtship in 2014. And so this is years. Now she didn't remember this. So in my mind, I was like, dang, it's like God like put it in her subconscious somehow. And I told you all these other little coincidences out here. You know what I'm saying? And so that when she told me, I was like, man, I forgot how she found it. But so this is what she just sent me the other day. She went back to her documents, but it was years ago when she first found it out. It was after we got married or something. After she found out about it, and she said she actually forgot about it. She did a little video and everything. And I was like, man, this is crazy. So for me, I would say I was lucky, but for me, remember my whole childhood. This is what I was praying for. So some people are like, oh, you lucky. It's like maybe you can look at it like that, but you can also look at it like I had faith because I literally from 7, 8, 9, 10, all the way up until I was an adult, I prayed that I could have a family, and I didn't want to. If I had a child with HIV, I would do my best. I would love them to stay. I would do my best to care them, but I didn't want to have to pass this to a child and for them to have to worry about it. So for me to have children, I don't have to worry about it. It's like, man, it was a blessing for me. So to me, that's an answer that God, man, is powerful. What is a likelihood? You know what I'm saying? And she didn't even she accepted. As soon as I told her the day of, I was pretty confident that she would say yeah, because I'm like, hey, I'm not a cocky guy, but but I was just like, man, what if she say no though? Like, what am I gonna do? And she said we could choose any topic, and that is what I chose. I have no idea why. I'm lying. No, she lied now.
This is God's plan, homie. This ain't mine.
Real, and I was confident. Like I'm like, man, I think she's gonna. I think I'm good. I think I'm good because I already knew in my heart that she had love and affinity for me. But I'm like, all that could may break if because I may think that, but I could be wrong. What if she's like, no, I don't. I'm like, hey, what am I gonna do then? Oh, I gotta go through the whole courtship thing again. So I'm a little nervous. I told her, and she actually, started crying a little bit. I'm like, dang, she make me sad now. Like, I don't know what to do. She had me on the head. I had the heat on my neck, but she looked at me and said, I prayed out law, God guides us for you to be healed one day. I pray that we can go to Cuba because we were planning to go to Cuba to study to become doctors. So I pray God can lead us to go to Cuba, and that one day we can find a cure and you'll be healed, And
shout out to that sister, man. Shout out to your wife.
Shout out to
Muhammad. For real. Shout out to your whole family, the kids. Yeah. How old are the kids? Boy, girl?
Yeah, my daughter, she's 5. She'll be 6 in January. She's not letting me forget it. And my son is Daddy, my birthday in this many days. And my son is 3. He'll be 4 in May 28th. And so nice. They're going up pretty fast, and they are a handful. So anybody know we know my children know what I'm talking about. Tell you.
Shop closed, or are we having some more babies?
Yeah, we do plan on having more. We want to, I believe, have one more, and then I think we also would like to adopt more. We're just planning it out and waiting for the moment. So yeah, we definitely want to have more. So I want to adopt because I was adopting. I just want to give back. I know there are a lot of children out here that need homes, and that's my goal to give somebody a home,
Yep, definitely, man. And so man, there's a lot to this side of your story. We could go on and on and on. I do want to get into some business though, because you are entrepreneur.
Yes,
you know what I'm saying? Like I said, I came across you in the ABS Tribe. And for those that don't know, ABS Tribe is our weekly coaching classes founded by Brother Ben X and Jake Taylor Jacobs, where it's basically they built a community of entrepreneurs and aspiring entrepreneurs where we log on pretty much every day now, right? It's like almost every day.
I need to get on. I ain't been on in a minute.
yeah, me too. Me too. I'm still locked in though. I'm still locked in. I still got my subscription. You know what I'm saying? Because it is a valuable community, you know what I'm saying? Where, you get to get around a lot of like-minded individuals and, get pertinent information on how to take whatever it is that you're trying to do to the next level, you know, finding, you know, whatever it is that you might be good at. Shout out to the ABS tribe in the building. I see you, Crown 808. You know, figuring out what it is that you do well, what it is that your purpose on this earth is, and how to monetize that. And so let's get into some of the business ventures that you got going on. Did it start with the ABS tribe, or were you already dipping and dabbing in entrepreneurship? And another thing is with that question, you know, I think everybody listening to this, by the way, everybody hit the like button, you know, all that good stuff, whatever page you want, hit the like button, share this out, subscribe to the channel. This is the Godcast Black Business Showcase here with our brother Marcus Muhammad. And I think everybody listening to this live and everybody that's watching this on the replay at this point is like, this brother is here for a reason. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
This brother made it this far. He has a purpose on this earth. So what do you think your purpose is, and how does that tie into what you're doing in business?
Yes, sir. Well, thank you for asking me. So for years since I first found out about my condition, one, I desired to be free of it. And two, I used to, as a child, I used to imagine myself wearing this white doctor coat or being in the lab and finding a cure for HIV and AIDS. However, what happened was I started studying chemistry and biology, and I was actually in the lab, and I said, man, I can't do this. This is a little crazy. I do love science. I realized that I always desired to be a doctor, but going to school, the medicine of this world wasn't what I desired, because they were taught, you know, go to school, study pharmaceuticals, and here you prescribing medicine. My goal is I want to learn
Witchcraft.
Truth. I want to learn the mindset. I want to learn prayer. I want to learn eating right, thinking right, putting herbs in your body to be able to heal the body properly, heal the mind, heal the body. And so growing up, I always desired to want to be free of HIV and to help others be healed. And so when I that's what I said, I started going to school, and I was like, you know, I kept feeling like this isn't, I desire to be a doctor, but it's not for me. Then I started really feeling, people kept telling me that I had a gift with speaking, and my story was powerful. Like when I would share, before I was public, I started sharing my story with close individuals, and they would tell me about, you know, my story and how inspirational I was, and how I need to start, you know, how much of a good speaker I was. And so when I shared my story, I saw many people impact. I said, well, maybe I can help people be healed by sharing my story and giving them knowledge and inspiration, and they can use what I'm teaching them to overcome their adversities. Because healing can also be having the proper knowledge, you know what I mean, and making a difference in your life. And so my goal is to be healed from HIV. So I do believe that I will be cured, and I do believe that when I am cured, I'm going to show millions of others how to be free of this disease. For the last 10 years, I've been trying many different natural remedies to be able to maintain HIV naturally. Most of them have been unsuccessful. When I say unsuccessful, doesn't mean that it didn't help in some capacity. It just means that I wasn't able to maintain the level of undetectable just off that natural supplement or just eating right. Because HIV is it's a weird disease, because it's like, typically when you get a disease, not a disease, like a cold or flu or virus or whatever, the antigen or the agent enters your body, the virus enters your body, and your immune system basically turns on. You have certain cells called B cells, which are certain leukocytes, and they basically go over it and they start taking pictures of what's happening. Like, hey, something's going on in the body, and they go back over to the T cells, like, hey, T cells, this is what's happening. I gotta go get rid of this. And the T cells are, all right, great, let's go. They like the army. We gotta go get this work. You know what I'm saying? And so they go over to the virus or the disease, whatever it is, and they start fighting it. But in order to destroy the virus, a cell has to come, and each virus has a certain receptor, and the T cell has to match the receptor with the specific key. So one cell comes, the key doesn't match. They have to find another cell. And it keeps coming. Then finally, one cell binds. When it binds, the T cell injects its own enzyme into the virus, and it destroys it. So now, all right, y'all, we just killed one. I'm gonna need all y'all to do what I just did. So all the other T cells reproduce themselves the same way that cell did, so they can all have the same key. Because each virus, like on a flu or cold or regular illness, has the same receptor. So they do that, and then that's when your immune system's fighting, and then it eventually gets rid of the disease, right? the thing about HIV is that when that happens, the first part, it does that. Not only is the T cells reproducing, the HIV cells start reproducing as well. But the difference is when they start reproducing, now they have new receptors. So the body has to start all over again to find a new key. And so the body's consistently fighting. So what happens, the immune system starts becoming overworked. And then the T cells, then now they start injecting themselves. No. The HIV virus starts injecting themselves inside of the T cells. So now the T cells going around infecting other T cells. So then it's like an agent inside of the system, like posing as a T cell, but it's not really a T cell. It's really an HIV cell looking like a T cell and is affecting other T cells. So now the person's immune system starts getting weaker. When it gets too weak, now the person has AIDS. So now a simple cold or anything can basically kill the person because they have no immune system to the point to where it can defend itself. So my mind is like, man, there's no disease out here that's really like that. So I desire to find a method that's going to stop that process from happening. And so I recently started taking a natural supplement a few months ago, and my viral load actually had shot up to like 50,000, which is pretty high. You know what I'm saying? For me, it was like the highest it has ever been. And the reason why I was that high, because I was off my medicine for months and I was trying different remedies. I literally, when I saw my results, I was like, I had just started on this natural regimen, but I had got my results back. I said, man, if I go back to the doctors and my numbers are still high, I'm just gonna get back on my medicine. I'll be on them for like 6 months. Cause I was like, to me, it was so high. I was like, I was kind of nervous. Like, dang, you never been this high before. And I'm like, God, what you got me going through? So I was talking to God. I was like, God, please help me. I said, I feel like Jesus on the cross, man. Please come help me. Cause I was like, it's been 10 years. I've been trying so many things. Everything I tried, every time I get all the medicine, my viral load goes up. So all right. So I tried these new regimen, and I tried this natural supplement that somebody had got me on, and I started taking them, and I went back to the doctors, and my viral load dropped down, and then like after a month, it was undetectable. You know what I mean? And so now I'm trying to see that I'm doing it long term to see if it's going to, you know, I'm seeing, because it did go up a little bit again and it went back down. So it's kind of fluctuating right now. So my body, whatever it's doing naturally, is fighting it, and it's working because I've never had something do that. So I'm going to do it long term to see what the results will be. So my goal is to be healed, find a method to be healed, even if I don't create it. Because I always used to think that, like I had this good brother, my brother Matthew, he used to always, because I used to always say, man, how am I going to find a cure? Because I used to think less of myself. I said, why would God choose me to find a cure when there's so many other scientists and doctors out here that already are much more skilled, have much more money, have more of a network, have more knowledge than I have? I'm a 21, 22-year-old guy years ago. Why would he choose me? And my brother was saying, because, man, he said, you was born in the nation of Islam, you love God, and you was born, God would choose you. Even if you don't, he said, he would say something like, even if you don't find the disease, bro, you can find somebody else that has a cure. He said, even if you don't find it, you can find somebody else that has a cure, and they can heal you, and you can be the spokesman person. Right. All right, I'm kind of, from when I first said I'm like, this guy, I used to be like, man, this guy rapping, you know what I'm saying? But I started growing, and when this happened, I'm like, yo, this is literally what's happening. I'm now speaking my story. Now I believe that I'm gonna find it. If this could be it, could be something else. I'm gonna find something, either maintain it should be naturally or eliminate it. And I'm the kind of guy, like, I don't fear this enemy. I don't fear the devil. Right. You know, I'm gonna speak. I mean, I'm gonna be smart, but I ain't gonna be like, hey, y'all, I got it. I'm gonna be smart and I'm gonna use. I'm gonna have a method of what I'm doing. But my goal is to, whatever I find that works, I'm gonna share it to other people. Because I feel like, and for me to be blessed, I have to share my story and help other people to overcome illnesses. So I started business. I started this, like I said, 10 years ago, on another professional terms. I am a life insurance representative. So since I was 21, for about 7 years now, I've been working in the life insurance industry. You might say, well, how does that tie into HIV? So for one, I had to find something to take care of my family. When I first started this journey, I didn't tell nobody about my story. So I said, life insurance was a good means for me to take care of my family. And I'm really passionate about it because there's so many of us that die in our community and leave our family with debt, or that have to raise money for burial expenses. And so I said, me knowing I have a disease or knowing other people die from illnesses, it would be good if I can get into an industry that can protect those from losing loved ones that are sick. They may have HIV, they may have other diseases, but if they have life insurance and something does happen to them now, they can leave their family with some substantial means to be able to take care of themselves and to take care of their funeral expenses and stuff like that. And so I've been in the life insurance industry since then. And so when I joined ABS Tribe was last year, because I was like, I had left my job and I started basically working in insurance. I was working in the insurance industry for full-time years, but when COVID hit, stuff slowed down. So I went and got a job as a supervisor. But I ended up leaving that job to go back into my insurance industry full-time. But also, I kept telling my wife, I said, babe, I think it's time. I think God's speaking to me. I need to go heavier with what I'm doing in my business and focus on my story. I kept seeing the ABS Tribe. I'm like, what's this digital real estate thing? Like, I would like some real estate, you know? So I kept seeing that in the ABS Tribe. And I've been following Brother Ben X for some time. So let me check it out. So I checked it out. So when I got on their course, I always desired to write a book. Ever since I was a teenager, I always wanted to write a book, but I didn't know how. So when I did the ABS Tribe, they had like an ebook. They had an ebook course. I was like, damn, this ain't nothing. So what I did, I took an interview like you and I are on, and I transcribed it, and then I took basically between the questions and answers of the interview, I took like childhood memories, adversities I faced, times where I prayed to God, how to live, and I put it inside of the chapters and inside of the questions, and I made a book called Transforming Pain to Purpose. I wrote a book, Transforming Pain to Purpose, Thrive with HIV. So I published that. That was this year, February this year, and I started the journey last year of that book. Published it. So the ABS Tribe gave me the mindset to like give me the tools and resources that I needed to get that book started. It also helped me with my content creation, because I wasn't really a social. I'm still not really a social media guy. Y'all might be seeing. I'm just kind of learning how to get creative with this stuff. You know what I'm saying? Like,
you killing it, bro. You killing it.
And my wife's been helping with that. But it's like I was literally like some days I literally like when I say motivated, like some days I really don't feel like posting. I'm like, I can't think of nothing. I'm like, man, and then like today we did a video. We had the children, they want to come in, and it got crazy. I'm like, man, it took like 3-4 hours. I'm like, I got clients waiting on me. As soon as I leave here, I got appointments lined up. And so it's like, I gotta get the life insurance right and get my clients right. But then right after that, I gotta get into the creativity mode to like figure out what can I do that's inspirational. And sometimes I overthink things. Like sometimes I post a video and it can be basic and I'm talking about something and it'll go crazy. I'm like, I didn't even say nothing in the video. And then my wife or somebody says like, well, some people may not think like that. Like what you said to them they might never even heard of it. For me, it's like, all I said was like, just go outside and take a deep breath. You know what I'm saying? And someone's like, man, that sounds powerful. And they go out and then they share it to like 20 people. And so so that's another thing I'm doing with the business. And so ABS Tribe helped me with the content creation. I'm also learning from other places. And now I'm learning how to watch other people. You know, I've taken other courses. I look at other people, look at Brother Ben X and other top content creators. And I'm like, look at TikTok. I'm like, what's a trending sound? You know, and so now what I'm learning how to do is to tie into the life insurance, because one thing in need is that I know I'm gonna be a long one to y'all, is that there are a lot of sick people and they don't know that they can get insured. And so I've now found companies that give insurance for those, for most, not all illnesses out there, but a lot of chronic illnesses that people have. Depending on how maintained it is, they can get life insurance. And that's something that's really needed in our community, because what if they do go and they didn't have the insurance? So now it's me helping people with the life insurance, but at the same time, I get to share I have life insurance. I'm HIV positive. I have life insurance. It is hard for those that have HIV, but they can get life insurance. You know what I mean? Have to still meet certain requirements, like have to be at a certain health, a requirement and stuff like that. So now I'm taking my life insurance. I'm helping the world with that. I'm trying to become more impactful, and I want to take my voice, and I want to be like an inspirational speaker, but I don't want to be the point to where I just go and inspire people. I literally I grew up watching the minister, and every time he speaks, it's like it just hits me. Like I love the way he speaks, because he speaks truth, and he inspires you at the same time, and it makes you go back and like, dang, let me change my life. Let me stop doing it. Let me try something this way. Literally, and there are other pastors that there are pastors that do that, but like the way he goes with it, it's like I don't hear too many people that's like that. And so it's like, how can I pattern myself to a point to where I can be some point of an inspirational speaker, to where I can help people be healed from certain illnesses, not to the point where I speak and I'm like, yo, I'm free, I'm healed. But it's like, let me go back and think differently and change my lifestyle, so that way I can take this my life and my body and take control of it to where I can really start the journey of being healed. Because, you know, in the Bible, it doesn't talk about hospitals. It doesn't talk about pharmaceuticals. It says, Jesus says, I come to give you life and give it to you more abundantly. But he taught us what foods to store in our households and what foods to eat. But the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan said that healing, he said, Allah God has put in each and every one of our bodies its own hospital system. And he said, if we think the right thoughts and eat the right foods, we'll activate the natural healing system. He said 50% of the healing is on God, and the other 50% is on us. So if we go the right route, there isn't any illness and affliction that cannot be healed. So what I'm on is a journey. I already foresee that I'm going to be healed. I don't know when, but I already know I'm going to be healed. The question is when and how, and then when it occurs, then it's going to be me teaching the other 40 million individuals that have HIV and AIDS to be healed from HIV, and I might help them get life insurance at the same time. You know.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed.
Right.
And documenting the whole process along the way. You know what I'm saying? That's going to be important as well. And
that's something I got to do better in, brother. I actually have a journal. Guess how I write in a journal, bro? Probably like once every 3 to 4 months. But when I write, though, I write like 20, maybe not 30, maybe like 15, 20 pages. But it's like I wanted to get to the point where I write every week or a couple times a week, but it's not been consistent. Like it's literally, I probably haven't written it probably in over.
Well, that's only one form of documentation, right? What you're doing on social media is part of your documentation. This interview right here, you know, you got a book. You know what I'm saying?
Yes,
you have a podcast as well. You do go live on YouTube or something?
I do have a YouTube. I am a YouTube. Lord, I say I'm a YouTube channel. I do have a YouTube channel. I don't have a podcast yet, but most of the YouTube ones I've been posting have been like short videos. I think I have like one that's like 3 minutes, but I do want to start doing long videos and stuff. What I may do, I'm trying to figure out, like with this interview and then other interviews, is figure out how to get them on my YouTube, because I might just start posting all the, because I've been on like probably 12 or 13 interviews, and so I'm gonna start seeing if there's a way I can download them and upload them. That way those that haven't seen them.
I'll show you how to do it. I just showed our sister, the artist Gemini. She wanted to post the interview that we did with her on her page, so I just showed her. It's simple, you know what I'm saying? But yeah, this is all part of the documenting your whole journey and everything. So you're already on the right track, you know what I'm saying? Just fine tuning it and being cognizant of what you're doing along the way, and that'll work out great for you.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Appreciate that.
Tell us, I guess, some of the different types of life insurance. I know there's term life, whole life, universal, and variable. What are some of the most common ones, I guess, that people get? When I say common, I'll say people in our community who may be on a budget.
Yeah, man, it most times, you're right. The only two I typically mostly see is whole life and term. Right now, then somebody may get a universal policy from me. If a person's on a budget, they may just get a small final expense policy or a decent sized term. So whole life is a permanent policy. It builds cash value. It's a permanent policy, meaning that if a person's 25, they get the policy, they'll still have the insurance as long as they're paying their premium up until they're 70 or 80. There are certain whole life policies where you can pay off within like 10, 20, or 30 years, meaning you pay it off and you still have the insurance. You just don't got to pay on it no more. That's a good benefit as well. There's certain policies that have more, you gain more interest.
Question about that right there. With that type of policy, do you have to maintain a certain level of health, or once you pay it off, it's yours?
Yeah. So with life insurance, once you take the insurance out, let's say you take the insurance out, you get cancer 6 months down the line, they can't test your insurance. Your insurance is your insurance. So even if you paid it off, it's once you are insured, that's your insurance. The only difference when you pay it off is that you just don't have to pay on it no more, because you've been paying it so long. It's generated so much cash, you don't have to pay the policy out no more. You have some cash value policy that generate a lot of cash in there, where it acts. I know brother Jake Taylor talks about Lord, I messed his name up. Jake Jacob talks about the Be the Bank, that it acts as like a bank. You actually can pull money out, and use that for wherever you want to use it for. But you also can pay the policy off. So that's whole life. It can get pricey when you start looking up substantial amounts. But if most people, if they just want final expense coverage, it is reasonable. A term is like, a lot of people use those for generational wealth. They want to pay off the mortgage. They want to pay the debt off. They want to leave money for their spouse or for their children. Term is a good way to get a lot of insurance for a little bit of money. Term is also good. It's easier to get term if you're in good health, because a lot of term policies may require medical exam. Now, I do work with companies that don't require medical. Like as long as you're under like 55, your health's decent, you can get up to $1 million with no medical exam. But if they see you're taking certain medicines, or you had like a specific kind of surgery, it's all up to the underwriter's discretion. The underwriter is the person who basically determines what rate to give you. So even though it's not necessarily you might get a medical, they might see something that I don't see, and they say, all right, Marcus, we need this person to do a medical. They do a medical exam, and then that determines if you're going to get a preferred rate, standard, or something a little higher. So the thing I like about life insurance, my mother once told me when I first joined the industry, she said, Marcus, and I had my daughter, wasn't born yet. And she said, Marcus, the thing about life insurance is that it's guaranteed to pay out. She said, you can have car insurance, you may never get in a car accident. You paying that, but you're gonna always pay that rent, that car insurance. You may get renters and mortgage insurance, your house may never burn down. But we all know one day this body gonna go. And if you don't got that money in the bank somewhere, you don't got, a lot of money set aside somewhere, then you're gonna need life insurance. You know what I'm saying? So for me, I think it's only, and it's really, if you get it at a decent age, it's really inexpensive. Like, if you're in your 20s, 30s, even 40s, you can get a nice size policy for a little bit of money. Like you will not pay nowhere near you're paying for health insurance. You'll probably pay, unless you want something that's like, $2 million and another whole lot. I mean, but even that, like I have clients that have $1 million policies my age, they're paying less than $100 a month. You know what I'm saying? So it's definitely, if you're at a good age and a good health, it's definitely one of the wise investments. Like I think that, after your basic needs, food, housing, electricity, water, all that kind of stuff, the thing you need next is insurance, life insurance, health insurance, like that comes after that. And then everything else comes after that, because, if you and your family's done taken care of, then it's like, what's the point, So that's a little bit about different types of insurance.
You touched on it a little bit, but break down for us how life insurance can pay you while you're still alive.
So there are a couple of ways. So with term, or even some of the whole lives now, they have something called living benefits. Now, living benefits have certain riders. That living benefits is a specific kind of rider where if one gets a chronic, a critical, or a terminal illness, they can pull money from the face amount and use it while they're still alive. So let's say if somebody has $1 million policy, and in year 8 of the policy, they're diagnosed with a certain type of cancer, and now because of that illness, they're not able to work anymore. But they still got to pay their bills. They still got to pay Uncle Sam, all that kind of stuff. So what they can do is they can write a claim to the company, and the company's like, hey, well, you can pull out up to 20, depending on the company, up to 20 or 24% of your face amount yearly. So now they can pull out $200,000 a year to pay off their medical bills, to pay off their personal bills, and to be able to sustain yourselves. So that's one way, because a lot of people think you got to die to get life insurance. Yes, for like final expenses, but there are certain policies now that you can set up and you can get living benefits. Most people can qualify for it. Sometimes they won't give you living benefits if you have a certain chronic condition. You may not be accessible to get it, but most people under normal health can get living benefits. Another way that you can get and pay from life insurance is that through whole life. If you've been paying on your whole life for quite some time and you want to pull on some of the wealth out of the policy, you can do that. Now, when there are certain ways to access money inside your life insurance, and you access it as a loan. And it's called a loan because it's not necessarily like you got to pay it back. It's going to go in your credit. It's going to debt collector's going to be after you. So that, for example, if you got $150,000 policy and you've been paying on it for, let's say, 10 years, and you say, you know what, man, I want to pull out $12,000 out, or let's just say 10, even it out. I want to pull $10,000 out. I don't want to touch my savings in the bank. I don't want to touch my investments. I don't want to touch my gold. I want to pull money out of my insurance. So you pull it out as a loan. The reason why you're pulling it out as a loan is because when you do it that way, I'm not a tax advisor. I can't give you tax advice. But when you pull it out, we have certain codes inside the life insurance industry. If you pull money out, you don't have to pay taxes on it. All right. And on top of that, it's called a loan because if you die and you didn't pay the $10,000 back, all they'll do is deduct the $10,000 from your face amount. So if your face amount is 150,000, then if you take out 10,000, then your face amount be 140 if you didn't, if you use the money.
If you defaulted.
Exactly. Now there are certain cases where you might start off with $100,000 policy. You've been paying it for quite some time, and the policy was worth more now, maybe 110, maybe 120,000. Depending on what kind of policy you have. It can be set up different ways. So that's another way you can generate wealth. And so a lot of the wealthy have became wealthy because of generational wealth and because of the money inside of the life insurance policies. And that's something that brother Jake talks about too. Is like, you got all these banks and they're not investing into the stock market. They're putting their money into life insurance policy. They're taking the money out cash, right? Because they're getting a guaranteed interest on it. And so I like life insurance because, you always have money in the bank, always get a little. I mean, I'm not saying have a whole lot, but have something in an emergency, something in a safe, whatever. But why not have your own to where you can pull out, anytime you need it? You know what I mean? And then you still have your insurance. And the
money is still in the policy, right? And it's still producing a certain amount of interest annually. The same money that you borrowed, now you don't liquid, like you said, you took out 10,000 from the policy, and you're able to utilize that for whatever it is, pay off some bills, build up your business or whatever. But that 10,000 is like it never left your policy, still building interest annually.
Exactly. Correct? Yeah. So if you're getting like, 5-6%, like some companies guarantee like a 3 to 4%, like a minimum, but then you get like a illustrated amount to where some companies may offer dividends, and they'll so we always like when I show my clients, I show them on a guaranteed minimum. This is the minimum you're going to have, but then this is what's currently how the policy has been working, where you get dividends and you may get up to 6-7%. You know what I'm saying? And so even if you're pulling out a few $1,000s, you're pulling out as a loan, so you're borrowing from it, but the money's still like it's there still, accumulating. So it's just a good means to just have, you might not become Rockefeller, rich off of it, but it's just something. It's better than what the banks are doing. I mean,
it's way better than what the banks are doing.
I mean, heck, even if you were getting,
does your credit score come into play? Borrowing against your policy?
No, sir. Nope. No credit check. No it's going to call the credit bureau on you. It's going to hit your bureau. I mean, you can never pay it back ever again, and you don't got to worry about nothing being on your credit. Now, borrow money from a bank and see what happens. Don't pay it back.
Right.
So it takes time to build up. Obviously, if you're paying, it takes some time to build up. You know what I mean? So it's like, I advise you to be a little patient with it. Don't put it in for 2 months and then try to, want to take a couple of years, so let it sit. So that way the interest can start generating. So that's why I like life insurance. It's a good way to just make our community richer. I mean, nobody wants to die. You know what I'm saying? Like,
right. But we're going to eventually.
But if you do, like for me, it's like if I go, I'd rather go out good. You know what I'm saying? So.
Right. Yeah. So I have a question. Like my mom was telling me, she's older, 74, but even before her, Black people weren't able to get life insurance where they can pass down wealth. They weren't only able to get enough just to bury you, right? So when you mentioned earlier in the show that sometimes it has to go through an underwriting process, do you kind of see a lot of applications for our people getting rejected more so than other groups? Because now we're just now kind of catching on to building wealth through life insurance.
Well, see, to be honest, I really don't know, because I know back in the day, I've read that too, that there was a lot of discrimination going on. Like there was one point, I think it was even against the law that we can get insurance, you know what I'm saying? Before, I guess, the price movement and stuff like that, and then even when we got it, they weren't giving us the same benefits that Caucasian people, or they was charging us more. It was just crazy. Now we do know it is like people have become more hip to stuff. So it is against the law to like try to charge more. Now, I don't know. To be honest, I don't see, because I have some clients, that are white, but most of my clients are in our own community, so I don't see a real big difference. But I've seen a lot of people that I think will get worse rates that come back with preferred and come back with standard pluses. And so I think nowadays insurance companies know they want that money, you know what I'm saying? And so they see if somebody's decent, they gonna try to get what they can get, you know what I'm saying? But I know in the past, it was like that, because everywhere we went, it was, discrimination. I'm not saying it's not like this. Obviously, we still deal with that to this day. But I think with the, modern and life insurance policies and the laws that go with it. I don't really see a lot of that, but then again, I do deal with most of our people. But I get most times I still get pretty good rates when I'm dealing with us.
How many states can you practice in?
Me personally, or just in general?
No, you personally.
I'm licensed in licensed in North Carolina, South Carolina, Georgia, Virginia, Maryland, New York, Pennsylvania, Texas, Missouri. I'm probably missing a couple. That's in Missouri. Maybe like one or two others. I'm licensed in a lot of states. I'm about to be licensed in Ohio. Next week, I'll probably be licensed in Ohio because I have clients I'm meeting next week in Ohio. I'll be licensed in in Delaware. I'm not licensed in Delaware. I'm going to be licensed in Delaware next week, Ohio, and Alabama. I'm not licensed in. So those 3 states I'm getting licensed in. But Texas, North Carolina, South Carolina, Georgia, Florida, Maryland, DC, Virginia, New York, Texas. I'm not licensed in Cali, but I will be. I haven't had any clients in California. Well, actually, I had one, but he didn't, like last year, he didn't move forward. Earlier this year, he didn't move forward. But what happens is I get licensed so if I meet a client, and because you got to pay to get licensed, and I don't have a whole, I'm going to just be paying to get every license every 50 states. So if I get enough people saying they need insurance, or I meet with them and we do an app, then I'll get my license. All I got to do is pay the fee and do an application. They see I already have my residency, my reciprocity done, and so they just approve it. Normally it takes like a day or two. Some states take some states like Florida, for some reason Florida was horrible. I had to do fingerprints. That took like 2 weeks, but most states is 2 days, or a day or two. You do it like if I did it like right now, tomorrow morning, or Monday morning, it'd be done. So California, I have a client in California that I'm supposed to be meeting with next week, so I might be licensed in California. So each week, I started off in DC, Maryland, Virginia years ago, and through the years, I think I added North Carolina last year, 2020, and then since last year, I got licensed in like many different other states because I started meeting clients all over the world, pretty much, and all over the U.S. pretty much virtually. And so, if y'all licensed in any of those states, let me know. Even if you're not, if you guys are in any of those states, let me know. Even if you're not, let me know. If you need some help, it takes a day to get licensed. I'll be licensed. I can, still go over stuff with you. We can't put that through. I just do what I got to do to make sure I can help with who I can help.
Definitely. Holla at our brother, man. We, get that thing right, man. They got affordable policies out there.
Yeah, and I work with different companies. So basically what I do, everything I do is real educational. So I'll sit down, I'll break down different types of life insurance. I kind of assess what the need is. So I'm like, you need this. I look at what your concerns are, you know what I mean? What your wants are, and then we work together to find a goal. I look at your health, and I'm pretty knowledgeable to the point where I know what companies are better with this disease. Like I know HIV, there's 3 companies out here, John Hancock, Prudential, Guardian, that have pretty good programs. Those are probably like the only ones I know. But then I know that you may have a different condition, or you might be healthy. So I'm like, all right, well, maybe we can go with this one. You might want more cash. So, okay, we're going to go with this one. You know what I mean? So it all depends on how you want to set it up, and I'll go with the company that I think will work best for you. So I'm not the best one out there, but I think I am for most of the average agents out there. I think I'm a little above that because I did a lot of studying when I first did it, and I take, I'm like, people spending money. I want to sleep good. I don't want nobody calling messing me up. Like, hey man, you messing me up. I probably had one pissed off client, not pissed off, upset or miscommunicated a client probably in the past 2 or 3 years that they were upset with me about something, and it wasn't necessarily my fault. It was a mix-up in communication. I mentioned something. He said he thought something that he didn't understand. But other than that, I don't have no upset clients. I check on my clients every 2-3 months, and I'm gonna tell you, hey, how you doing? How the family? Anything you need from me? Anything I need I can help with? Because I'm a person-oriented person. I mean, Lord, I said I'm a person. I'm a communicative person. I like to be engaged with people. So. So that's what I do to maintain my family. I'm pushing my book out. If you guys want to check out my book, don't tell everybody, but if you type in Purpose 13, you'll get a 15% discount. Purpose 13, Agent of the Month. Yeah, I stay Agent of the Month. So I'm independent, but I write with one company, Transamerica. I do a lot of term with them. I do a lot of final expense with them. And so a lot of times I don't even be knowing sometimes. I just get like notifications, and like I'll go every now and then I'll go meet up with some of the people there. Like, hey man, did you know you was an Asian? You was a top producer. I'm not an employee, I'm a producer. You was a top producer in our company in this region this month. I'm like, really? Like, yeah, but you didn't know? No, I didn't know, because I'm here to meet the clients. I'm here to help the clients. I'm here to make sure my family good. You know what I'm saying? And so
finish your pitch though. You cut yourself off. Finish your pitch with the discount code and all that you were saying.
Oh yeah, Purpose 13. Purpose and the number 13. My page is marcusmohammed.com/7. If you go there, if you don't want the whole book, you can get a free chapter downloadable. When you go to my page, it'll take you right there. You can download a free chapter. So it's another special gift inside of that free chapter as well. If you go to the next page, Thriving with HIV, you can get my book. Purpose 13, you get it off. I think it's 15% off. Purpose 13. It's just you type that in the promo section. Yeah, so that's right. That's a free gift right there. And if you type on the right hand side, which is Thriving with HIV, you can get the book. You can buy the whole book, but this is just if you want. If you don't got the $16 or $17, if you just want to get a free chapter, check out our free chapter. See how inspirational and powerful the story is.
Just type in your name and email, hit the download button.
Buy the book.
And then these are some reviews. These aren't, if you go right there at the bottom again.
Oh,
these are some reviews. People hit me up on Instagram. This person to the left, I knew her all the way to the left, and the person in the middle, I didn't even know. They just reached out to me, and then the person to the right was a family member. These are people that just, I reached out to just to see how the book was, and they're like, wow, crying. You know what I'm saying? They were going through something it was able to help them with. Some girl read it, got it, and couldn't put it down. My cousin was like, man, I'm really getting to know who you are. You got a powerful perspective on life. If you go to the next page, Thrive with HIV, there are two other reviews. So it's a short book too. It's not short, like 10 pages, like 70 pages. So it's not really long. But I try to make it really engaging to the point of where most people that tell me they read it say they couldn't put it down. You know what I'm saying? And so
now, is this an ebook?
So I have an ebook on Amazon. I'm actually working on getting my own ebook done to where it's easier for people to get download, and I'll make it more accessible to people in other countries, because a lot of people in other countries I want to try to get it to the point to where it's just a couple of dollars, so people in other countries that don't have $10 can afford it. These are two people that reached out to me that said the book was very, very powerful. So I like it. I think it's a good book for those that want to overcome not just HIV but any type of affliction, because my book is, I'm using HIV from my perspective, but I'm talking about adversities in general.
So it's a paperback and an ebook, y'all.
Yeah, paperback, ebook on Amazon. 5-star reviews. All hopefully, it remains that way. This is the natural supplement that I take. Okay. It's 60 tablets, and it looks like it's pricey, but it's very effective. So even if you have like a flu or cold, or you want to protect against this virus out here, COVID, you can do that as well. You know what I'm saying? It boosts your immune system. It has certain proteins in it that stop the process of viruses attaching to your cells. Okay.
Your bio here. Yeah, man. I go to vitamin shops often, and man, this ain't pricey. Stuff be pricey, man. Any type of health products, natural supplements and stuff, that stuff be pricey, man.
Yeah, I'm trying to, I want to, I even talked to the owner of the company. We're trying to figure out ways to just get this to more people but it's just hard because the way that these tablets are made, they're sugar tablets, but they are all natural products, and the way that they're made are very expensive. You know what I'm saying? And they have something called interferons in it, which isn't really a chemical. They're taking interferons from animals. Our bodies naturally produce interferons. All right. Now, interferons, they're called interferons because basically it interferes with the process of viral replication. So what I mean is the reason why viruses are able to take over, like COVID, the reason why people get so sick with COVID is because the virus replicates.
Careful with that word.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. Well, the C thing. I'm going to call it the C thing, the CV. When people get that CV, you know what I'm saying? It takes over the person's immune system and stops their body from producing interferons. What interferon does, it basically, every time a virus tries to inject this enzyme into the cell, interferon stops that process from happening. And then it basically strengthens the T cells and it has alpha interferon, gamma, and beta. And alpha and beta interferon basically, help with, viral replication, and then gamma interferon basically gives your bodies more, produces your T cells to be stronger. You know what I'm saying? And so when the virus tries to attach itself to a cell, interferon stops that process from happening. And if someone with HIV doesn't have enough interferons because their immune system is so weakened, and so when we take certain supplements like this, it basically is able to basically take over the virus and keep our viral load lower. That's why for the first 7 years of my life, 9 years of my life, I wasn't on any antiviral medicines at all, and I was very healthy because I was on interferons, similar to what I'm taking now. You know what I mean? And so that's why I believe that these work, and I've already been getting positive results. I just have to be on them long. It's not something you do for one day or two weeks. You got to be on them for some time to really see, the results. You know what I'm saying? And so I want to be on them for another 6 months and see, eventually no medicine at all, to see, how long I could go with it being undetectable.
And again, family, that's www.marcusmuhammad7.com. Make sure y'all visit our brother's site. Get either your ebook or your paperback signed autographed copy.
Oh yeah, autograph, definitely. And autograph. I do it. Make sure I put that love in that thing.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And,
I just ordered the book, by the way.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. And my page is it probably pop them anyway, but behind Marcus Muhammad there's a 7. So I try to keep a 7 on all my stuff.
I noticed that.
Like 7 has always been my favorite number.
Mine too.
I didn't know growing up that 7 actually means perfection. Not that I'm perfect, but it also means elevation, and also means 7 heavens. Like in the Quran, the 7th surah is elevated places. And so and then we talk about God beings have 7 levels of consciousness, or 7 heavens, 7 levels of awareness. The number 7 means perfection, so I always love 7, you know what I mean? And so Marcus Muhammad 7, there you go. And I think it just makes me stand out a little bit more.
And I noticed you got the number 25 in your email as well. And 2 + 5 is 7.
Yes, sir.
You know what I mean? So that's wisdom, power, all being born of God. And so my youngest son's name is 7.
Really?
Yeah.
That's what's up. Yeah, 5 pillars of Islam, 2, and then you add it together, you get 7.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah. So
yes, indeed.
Try to keep everything on a spiritual level, I think the 7th letter in the alphabet is G.
Yeah, yep.
And G is the beginning of God. I don't know, man. It's just, that's if I'm getting too deep, but I'm like, man, 7th letter is G. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah.
Yes,
7 promises of God.
Yes,
And, I got I know this is probably random, but I got married. I didn't get married on 7, but I got married my 12, 13, 14, which was the last consecutive date for 89 years. My wife and I did not know this at all until after. I don't even think we realized it was a consecutive date until after, like months after. I think we realized it, but we didn't know it was the last one for the century.
Did you see something on social media or something?
Yeah, so what happened, we started seeing that we found out there was like thousands, hundreds, there was like, I don't say hundreds, there was like tens of thousands of weddings that same day. People were planning to get married that day because it was the last consecutive date of the century of like 89 years. We didn't even know that. We were just, it was a date that we chose to get married. You know what I'm saying? But we didn't even know. When we saw that, I was like, dang, numbers are powerful. Yesterday was 12, 22, 21. It was a backwards. You can do the number back. I don't know if you guys realize that, but yesterday you could take 12, 22, 21. You could take 21 and it's 12, 22, and then 21. It'll be backwards. So it was pretty cool day yesterday.
It's like a mirror.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that's my story. I pray that God can just continue to use me. I'm every day I'm striving to grow. That's my wife. I'm literally always trying to find ways to just impact more people, inspire more people, get in front of more crowds. I work a lot, like as far as insurance wise, helping clients. I want to find a way where I can be more effective with work, make more income, but also tap into my creativity more to where I can impact more people, to where I can be more free, to where I can just spill what God has inside of me. You know what I'm saying? And so I'm constantly trying to develop, constantly trying to be a better man, a better Muslim, a better father, a better husband, a better man to service for our people, better man of God. So like the way I look at myself, I love myself, but the way I look at myself isn't nowhere near where I want to be at. You know, I want to consistently grow and just help our people, you know. So pray I can help our people throughout the States and throughout the whole world.
You're doing that.
Yeah.
Good man. Good man. Shout out to you, man. Again, shout out to your family. You know,
Yes.
You know, more life, more blessings on the rest of your journey. You know what I'm saying? Can't wait to see what else you got in store for us. And family, make sure y'all tap in with our brother. Give him your social media and all of that good stuff where you could be contacted. You know,
Yes, sir,
if somebody want to hit you up for life insurance or whatever, how can people get at?
Oh yeah. So matter of fact, my social media Marcus Mohammed 7. I'm on IG. I'm on TikTok. My YouTube. I think it's I just did my YouTube a few weeks ago, and I think that's
I forgot the 7. Is on Instagram it's at Marcus Muhammad 7.
Yes, sir. Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, I forgot the 7. Let me fix that.
It's
scrolling across the whole time.
Let me my YouTube is Marcus Muhammad. So you just type in Marcus Muhammad and I should pop up. I thought it was 7 there too, but it might just be a name. And so I'm on YouTube, I'm on Facebook, Marcus Muhammad as well. I think all my social medias I have the same picture. I have a suit on. If you want life insurance, you can text. Matter of fact, you can text me at
Type it in, wife. Type it in the chat, wife. What's the phone number?
I'm trying to see. I'll give y'all my business line. That way y'all can just, if y'all serious, y'all want to learn more, just go ahead and text 478-345-4855. Just text your name and a good time to reach you. I'll call you tomorrow.
One more time with that number.
478-345-4855. Shoot me a text. 478-345-4855. That's one of my work phones. If you shoot me a text with your name and a good time to contact you, I'll reach out. I got a couple of things tomorrow and some lined up next week, but I'll make sure I definitely get to you and at least, you know, build something up with you, and then we'll figure out where we can go from there. Okay.
Yes, indeed.
I got a lot of people reaching out to me from my social media post I did the other day that have conditions, that pre-existing condition that just wanted some help with getting. I had one lady, she didn't have nothing. She said, I just want insurance. I was like, hey, all right, let's set you up. You know what I'm saying? So if you feel like you need some help, you have a condition, you want some help, then I'll reach out to you. Okay. Yeah, so you can text me there.
All right.
If you guys have any questions, you can shoot me a DM. So I might not respond right away, and it's because I got a lot of DMs on IG. But comment on all my things or shoot me a DM on IG. I also have a free Discord. So if you guys if you know someone with HIV or if you want someone that somebody wants to be inspired or just want to join a free virtual community, I have a Discord as well. So I'm accessible there. So I post there, you know, every few days. I got a free, so you can go to my link in my bio on IG, and you can go there, and then I have a Discord. So I got about 30 members in there. 30 members or 21 members, something. I don't know. I got some members in there. All right, cool. Yeah.
All right, nicely, girls. About that time. I'm gonna leave the number up there. I'm gonna leave the number up there for people so they can see it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Are you frozen? Oh no, you did.
Who, me?
No.
I
thought she was frozen.
Okay.
No, I'm not. I'm good.
Yeah, but I definitely appreciate y'all letting me on board, and I hope I was able to touch.
I don't think she wants to ask the question.
Oh Lord, I didn't brain for it. Literally.
This is the Black Business Showcase, by the way.
Yes, this is the Black Business Showcase, and you know sometimes my brain goes blank once in a while. What does freedom mean to you, Brother Marcus Muhammad?
Man, freedom means to me that you know who God is, you know who yourself is, and you know why you were put on this earth, and you are able to live the life that you were supposed to live. You know what I mean? You're not in slavery by debt. You're not in slavery by, working a job. Not that it's not that it's wrong to work a job, but you're working in the fulfillment to fulfill your purpose. You know what I mean? You're working to, fulfill your purpose and to make yourself and to make others happy. So that's freedom with me, is when you're working in the spirit of God, you're working in the spirit of truth, and you're not allowing this world to be bound to you, not allowing certain afflictions to not be bound, to bound you, to keep you, to be a burden to you. You live life, and you break all the shackles of this world. So that's freedom to me.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. And I don't know if you've seen any of the previous episodes, but this is the part where I put you on the spot. And now you have the microphone, you have the bullhorn. The entire Black community can hear what you have to say. What parting words do you want to leave with us tonight? The whole Black family. We listening.
God loves you, family. Even when you feel like you are facing some form of adversity, that you may not see a way out of it, you are stronger than you realize. And there is nothing that you cannot endure. And in the Quran, it says that, Allah, God, doesn't put on a soul any burden that is beyond the scope, meaning that anything that you go through, you can overcome it. There's nothing you go through that you cannot overcome. Now, there are certain times you can put burdens on yourself by making improper decisions, and because now you're facing the effect of that cause of that decision. But if you strive in righteousness and you strive to live the best life, and you strive to do better than you did yesterday, and you don't got to be perfect. But in the Nation of Islam, we're taught that the earth is not perfectly round. The earth actually has a wobble. And if we were to feel a wobble, it would be like a consistent earthquake. But the reason why we don't feel the wobble is because the earth follows the law of God, which is motion and rotating around the sun, which is ordained to rotate. And on top of that, Allah and He compensated for the wobble by allowing the earth to be on a tilt. So the earth is on a tilt, like 23 degrees and some change. And by it being on that tilt and by going around the sun at a certain speed, 1,037 1/3 miles an hour, we don't feel the constant earthquakes, or there's no constant earthquakes because we don't feel the wobble. So we don't have to be perfect in the eyes of God. All we have to do is strive. So Jesus talked about in the Bible, the disciples thought he was perfect, but it was he was perfect almost in his submission to God. So if we strive to submit to truth and righteousness, then we will experience freedom, justice, and equality. But it starts with us having the right mindset to lean on God. And so that way, even when we face adversities, we don't curse God. The adversities are necessary to bring out the characters and the gift. But if we consistently lean on him, he's going to compensate for the imperfections. He's going to compensate for the wobble that is inside of the human being. So then when people look on the outside of us, they're like, man, this person is divine. And it's not that we're divine, it's the God that is inside of us, because God is now dwelling himself inside of us because we're leaning on him. So as long as we continue to lean on God, family, and we lean on truth, and we strive to live a righteous lifestyle, you may make mistakes, you may hit certain barriers, but every time you hit a barrier, man, call on God and break that barrier. Like, I'm going to crush it. You know what I'm saying? Like, don't allow nothing in this universe. I know I'm long, but I'm going to say this one last thing. The Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan said that the universe is like a big breast, all right? Let me explain in a second. When a baby is born, instinctively, the baby knows to pull. Now, the baby doesn't know that milk is going to come. It just knows to pull. And eventually it pulls. The first time it pulls, milk doesn't come out. It has to pull on a few times. And then eventually, after it pulls on and on, milk comes out. What happened? The baby's faith was rewarded. The Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan teaches that the universe works in the same way. Whatever we pull on in our mind, in our spirit, in our being, and if it's truth and righteousness, there isn't anything that we can ask God in the name of truth, in the name of the Christ, right, that he won't bless us with. So whatever our desires are in life, if we lean on truth and we pull on the universe, which is like, and we have faith, which is like the breast, everything the universe works on is pulling, faith, seeing in your mind and working towards a vision. There's nothing that you can't achieve. That's why I know I'm going to be healed. And whatever affliction you have or going through, you're going through, you got to start saying, I'm over. God is allowing you to overcome it. He's going to allow you to be healed from it, but you got to first believe it yourself and take your life in your own hands. Remember, 50% of the work is on you. So someone said once, I heard someone say, pray like it all belongs on God, but work like it all is on you. Because how is God going to answer your prayer? He ain't going to fall out of the sky. Prayers are answered through ideas, people, knowledge, places. There's always some form of person or thing that's going to answer your prayer. So you got to do the work to find that answer and to find the answer to your prayer. So have faith and keep pushing, family, because God is with you.
Thank you.
Yes, indeed. Thank you for that. Thank you for that. For sure. For sure. Man, okay. So another great episode in the can. Appreciate you spending this time with us, brother, and sharing your story. Again, very powerful, very inspirational. And that concludes tonight's episode of the Black Business Showcase on Sincereluvdagod cast. And family, remember, we are not the master teachers. We are only the master students and signal boosters for the voices of the new Black media. Appreciate y'all tapping in with us.
Thank you very much, love. Thank you for everybody for tapping in.
Thank you for coming yet again. And make sure you guys tap in with us this Sunday. We will be here Sunday. Yeah. And God says the same. We'll be here on Sunday, 4 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And thank you to Brother Marcus Mohammed for allowing us to get all in your Black business this evening. And again, you guys make sure you tune in on Sunday. And thank you for tuning in and tapping in with us today. Make sure you make sure you share this broadcast, and also make sure that you reach out to our brother in reference to some life insurance. Make sure you get that book. Make sure you show love and support on his social media. Sometimes we don't have to spend money. Sometimes it's a like, and sometimes it's a share, right? So make sure you guys do that as well. And peace. I love y'all. Good night.
Peace.
Do for self or suffer the consequences. The wisdom of Elijah's inside of the conscience.